Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Undead Lord, Unlimited Synthetic Wraith Great Emperor at the start. Chapter 1. Good luck. Work hard together. Everyone take care, see you in a week. Stay alive as long as you can. Aji, be sure to pay attention to safety. Yanzi, you have this entry-level troop card, and you must work hard. Quote. In the central square of the ancient city, a group of boys and girls said goodbye to each other and blessed each other. There was even a licking dog who took advantage of the last moment to put a troop card he had spent so much effort to buy into the hands of the woman he admired. Just to give the other party a little more confidence in passing. The day has finally come. Lin Shu stood in the halo of the six-pointed star, scanning everything around him and couldn't help but feel excited. The power of Transcendence Lord is so close to him. Although Transcendent is the strongest person in this world, as a transmigrator, he is still excited that he will become a lord. Lin Shu, be careful. A crisp voice came from beside her, and Lang Shuyao pursed her lips. There seem to be thousands of words, but in the end they can only be reduced to these two words. You too, see you in a week. Lin Shu felt warm in her heart, smiled slightly at the girl and said. Quote. Without giving them much time to say goodbye, the six-pointed star teleportation suddenly lit up with a light blue light. The next second, all the trainee lords in the entire ancient city disappeared at the same time. Another lord trial has begun. I wonder how many will succeed. Hey, I don't expect much success. I just hope that the mortality rate can be reduced a little. Such a good child does not deserve to die on that battlefield. HMPH, my opinion. No matter how high the death rate is, as long as we can achieve more lords, it will be worth it. Otherwise, the war will burn to our blue star sooner or later. That's true, but, hey, I hope these children can produce a high-ranking lord. Quote. In the deserted ancient city after the boys and girls disappeared, all the onlookers had heavy looks on their faces. Some people's faces were full of pain and regret. As trainee lords who were eliminated on the battlefield in the past, they had seen this kind of scene too many times. Every time, thousands of young girls and boys set off vigorously, but they can return after a week. Often not even half. The annual Lord Trial Ceremony is the beginning of the transcendent road to the stars and the sea for new lords. But for them it was a life or death farewell. A heavy atmosphere gathers in the ancient city, and this will last until the teenagers who become the lords return in a week. Only a fresh and powerful person can dilute this solemn atmosphere. Welcome to the fifth trial area, Cemetery of Sighs. Before I even opened my eyes, the mechanical beep sounded. Lin Shu's heart suddenly skipped a beat when she heard this name. The one with the cemetery was obviously related to death. Judging the degree of danger of the environment from the name of the trial map as a compulsory course for trainee lords. Awakening Rank 1. Skeleton Warrior. Congratulations. Undead Summoning. Before Lin Shu could fully arrive, a withered and slightly rancid smell rushed into his nostrils. At the same time, his initial arms and lord types have also been awakened. There seems to be something extra in the body, but when I experience it carefully, there seems to be no difference. Undead Lord. Lin Shu's heart moved, and it was not unexpected. The place of trial, to put it bluntly, is a place of enlightenment for all lords. Most of the types of troops and lord skills awakened here will not surpass the characteristics of the place of arrival. Cemetery of Sighs, as soon as I hear it, it is related to death. If the guess is correct, it is estimated that all the new people coming here should be soldiers related to the undead. Buzz. A muffled sound seemed to come from the distant horizon, and seemed to resound in people's hearts. Lin Shu suddenly felt a down-to-earth feeling under his feet, and he regained control of his body. Only then could he open his eyes. Empty silence. Withered. Damaged. When he opened his eyes, Lin Shu couldn't think of any other words to describe the environment he saw. The charred land has no third color except gray and black. In a depressing environment, if ordinary people from previous lives were allowed to come here, I'm afraid I'll go crazy in less than 3 days. But for trainee lords like them who are looking forward to embarking on the road of lords and mastering the power of Transcendent. But it's not unacceptable. Undead Lord. Let's see what type it is first. Lin Shu didn't think much, and after checking that there was no danger around him, he couldn't wait to open his Lord panel. The Undead has always been a huge branch. It contains countless races, ranging from the Skeleton Lord who walks like a scumbag, the Ghost Lord who is medium to immune to physical attacks, the Undead Bone Dragon who is tall enough to be comparable to angels, dragons, etc. All are within the scope of the Undead Lord. Therefore, the same Undead Lord. But the difference in strength is astonishing. ID. Lin Shu. Apprentice Lord. Undead Lord. Native Arms. Undead Summoning. Expend a certain amount of mana to recruit corresponding undead arms of all types from the bones. Initial skill. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment consumes 5 mana points to recruit 2 skeleton warriors from a corpse. Command. 10. Life. 20. Mana. 20. Military type. None. Talent. 2-in-1 SSS level, can combine any same arms, 2 can be combined into 1 higher level of the same arms. All categories of Undead Lord. Lin Shu looked at it and her eyes widened suddenly, she was surprised and happy. An ordinary Undead Lord can only recruit 1 type of soldier. For example, the Skeleton Lord can only recruit skeletons. The Ghost Lord can only recruit ghosts, and the Undead Lord can only recruit undead troops such as licks and zombies. Occasionally, someone with extraordinary talent can recruit multiple types of soldiers. For example, they can recruit skeletons and ghosts at the same time. Or even 3 or 4 types. Generally speaking, this is a qualification of Transcendent. In the future, relying on the cooperation of multiple arms, he will have a strength far beyond that of a single arm lord. However, all types of lords. This is simply beyond imagination, let alone meeting them. I have never heard of it. One of the top 10 heavenly venerables is the Undead Lord, but it is said that he only has 16 undead recruiting techniques. Lin Shu was pleasantly surprised, even though it was just a branch of the undead. But there are at least 50 or 60 types of arms contained in it. What all categories mean is simply too exaggerated. Talent. SSS level. There's actually an SSS level talent. Lin Shu continued to look down. When he saw the last column, his eyes almost bulged out, and his whole body was trembling with excitement. SSS level talent can be said to be the highest level of talent. If the Lord category does not directly determine the Lord's strength and future development potential, then talent will inevitably determine the upper limit of a Lord's strength. SSS level talent, the entire blue star may not be able to produce one in 10 years. The last time he appeared was as a Lord 13 years ago, and now he is one of the 12 heavenly kings who have reached the divine realm. A strong pillar of the human race, it is said that he is also a candidate for the Holy Lord of the Nightmare Temple, one of the 3 great saint temples of the human race. It's happening, it's happening. Lin Shu smiled stupidly, and this was the only thought left in her mind. Unlimited 2-in-1, perfect match with Undead Lord. No wonder Lin Shu is so excited, this talent is a perfect match for him. The Undead clan has many powerful soldiers. Even the weakest Skeleton Lord, although he is only the lowest level rank 1 skeleton warrior in the early stage. But when it develops to a certain level, it is possible to recruit skeleton knights who are not weaker than the rank 5 arms, and skeleton kings who are comparable to the rank 7 arms. There is even a netherworld Wraith Emperor in the late stage that is stronger than the rank 10 troops. However, it is extremely difficult to develop to late stage. Perhaps less than 1 out of 10,000 skeleton lords can develop to late stage. The Undead Lord here has nothing to do with the so-called natural disasters in novels or film and television works that Lin Shu had read in his previous life. Because there is another attribute that restricts the strength of the Lord, and that is command. This is the core attribute of every Lord, equivalent to the upper limit of the number of troops that can be controlled at the same time. With this attribute constraint, late stage may be able to develop a natural disaster route. But don't even think about it in the early stage. In this way, it will be difficult for the lords of low-level units to develop in the early stage. Even most of them died in the endless struggle for hegemony before they could develop. In this world, lords are not as simple as imagined. You only need to mindlessly pile up troops to become invincible, but you also pay more attention to the individual strength of the troops. With unlimited synthesis talent, he can completely synthesize arms like crazy. Develop infinitely powerful individuals from limited commanding power. 2 in 1. Even if the initial skill is the rank 1 skeleton warrior recruitment technique, as long as there are enough skeleton warriors, you can directly recruit a Netherworld Wraith Emperor. Lin Shu murmured to himself, overjoyed. This talent deserves to be called SSS level talent, and its power is incredible. First recruit a few troops and try, looking for the bones. Lin Shu couldn't wait to try out the power of talent. He closed the properties panel and looked around. Cemetery of size, as the name suggests, the most indispensable thing here must be the bones. It is the paradise of all undead lords. After a while, Lin Shu found a mutilated corpse with half of the bones leaking out of the ground. The original appearance of the mutilated bones cannot be seen. The bones are white and crumbled even if touched slightly. Lin Shu didn't even dare to take a big breath for fear of blowing the bones apart. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment Technique. Regardless of the poor quality, Lin Shu carefully walked to the corpse and activated the only skill he knew so far. Suddenly something seemed to be taken away from his body, and a gray light came from his hand and fell on the gray-white bones. Click. Then, in Lin Shu's expectant eyes, the white ashes fell away, revealing a gray skeleton covered with cracks. The bones squirmed and were pulled out of the ground, and the bones were combined into 2 half-meter-high humanoid skeletons. Click, click. 2 short skeleton warriors walked up to Lin Shu step by step. A gray soul fire the size of a grain of rice flashed in the hollow skull. Success. Lin Shu was overjoyed, although these 2 skeletons looked a bit weak. But it is also his first real mastery of the power of Transcendent. For people in this world, the feeling may not be so strong, but as a transmigrator. He was used to ordinary people, but he had a different feeling. View properties. Lin Shu suppressed his excitement and couldn't wait to open the Skeleton Warrior's property panel. Skeleton Warrior 1. Weak rank 1. Life, 8. Attack, 5. Defense, 1. Skill, none. Buff, dropping slag, losing 1 point of life every 5 seconds. Introduction. The skeleton warrior summoned from the bones of ordinary who has been dead for unknown years, seems to fall apart if he takes a few more steps. Quote. Awful. Lin Shu was speechless. How could these 2 skeleton warriors be so miserable? The 5 scumbags in Zon all look up to them, and they even come with a health dropping buff. If you don't care, you won't be able to hold on for even a minute and you'll have to finish playing with these 2 guys. Even the rank opened his eyes. He actually has a weak rank 1. Ordinary rank 1's life should be around 20, and the more powerful ones can have up to 50. This thing actually only has 8 points. Attack and defense are generally around 10, and can be as high as 20. This guy only has 5, and his defense is even more ridiculously low. Only a pitiful 1 point. How on earth can other skeleton lords live like this? Fortunately, I have talent. Lin Shu mentally mourned for the other skeleton lords for 3 seconds, watching the bones on the chests of these 2 guys falling into dust. My life dropped directly to 7 points, and I didn't dare to neglect it immediately. Launched talent directly. 2 in 1. Synthesis. Lin Shu whispered in her heart, and 2 gray vortexes suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. Blessed to the soul, Lin Shu's heart moved and he directly put the 2 skeleton warriors into the window. Buzz. The vortex suddenly rotated rapidly and gradually approached, and after 3 seconds, it merged into a vortex. Synthesis successful. Closing square bracket. Get. Strong Skeleton Warrior 1. The vortex disappeared, and the 2 skeleton warriors on the spot also disappeared. It was replaced by a brand new skeleton about 60 centimeters high. Not that tall, but compared to the previous 2 Zan Wuza. At least the new skeleton warrior won't fall apart. The ribs on the chest are also visibly thicker, and every part of the body is obviously much stronger. It seemed that there was finally a sense of security. Strong Skeleton Warrior 1. Rank 1. Life, 15. Attack, 8. Defense, 5. Skill, none. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 1 point of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. The skeleton warrior summoned from the bones of ordinary who has been dead for unknown years, his combat power is negligible. Quote. Looking at the properties of the new skeleton warrior, Lin Shu wiped the sweat from his forehead. It is slightly stronger than the previous skeleton warrior, but still has not reached the strength of the normal rank 1 unit. The strength of the undead army relies too much on the strength in front of the corpse. Lin Shu murmured to himself that the undead clan was recruited from the corpses of the dead. It is said that if a high-level creature is acquired by the undead lord after death, the Netherworld Wraith Emperor can even be directly recruited using the skeleton recruitment technique. However, the requirements for the corpse are very high. On the one hand, the strength during life is also. The time of death is also very important. If you have been dead for tens of millions of years, even if you were extremely powerful during your lifetime, you will have already lost all your essence. It's not unusual for a demigod's corpse to recruit an ordinary skeleton warrior. But it doesn't matter, as long as I have enough skeletons, I can synthesize high-level troops. Lin Shu was not disappointed. Thinking of her talent, she was shocked again. He raised his head and scanned the front, starting to look for new bones. Cemetery of Sighs, as the name suggests, is a paradise for the dead. The bones are not hard to find. At least it is not difficult to find corpses that are almost weathered and decaying. Not far away, Lin Shu found another skeleton of similar quality to the first one. The breeze picked up the ashes and dispersed them in the air, leaving only an unknown bone with a diameter of 10 centimeters on the ground. Although it has been corrupted and is about to disappear now, it can be seen from its size that it was probably a giant beast before it was born. Skeleton recruitment technique. Lin Shu didn't think much and directly activated the only recruitment technique. After a while, two freshly baked skeleton warriors stood up from the ground tremblingly. Perhaps it's because of the different origins of the bones. Although these two skeleton warriors still look like they're walking badly. But its body shape is even taller than that of the synthesized skeleton warrior, which is 70 centimeters tall. Skeleton Warrior Elf 1. Weak Rank 1. Life, 12. Attack, 7. Defense, 3. Skill, none. Buff, Slag Drop, lose 1 life every 5 seconds. Introduction. The skeleton warrior summoned from the bones of an ordinary who has been dead for unknown years, seems to fall apart if he takes a few more steps. Still weak at rank 1. Lin Shu was slightly disappointed. These two skeleton warriors looked much taller. I thought that the strength would be much stronger, but I didn't expect that it would still be the weakest rank 1. 2-in-1, synthesis. But it doesn't matter, no matter how small the mosquito is, it's still meat. Lin Shu was not disappointed either. He immediately activated 2-in-1 talent. 3 seconds later, the two trembling skeleton warriors merged into a taller skeleton warrior. Strong Skeleton Warrior Elf 1. Rank 1. Life, 22. Attack, 11. Defense, 7. Skill, none. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing, recovers 1 point of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. Slightly strong skeleton warrior, with certain strength. Finally something like that. Lin Shu looked at the newly synthesized skeleton warrior and was delighted. This is the attribute that a normal rank 1 unit should have. Due to the extraordinary strength of the bones it comes from, this freshly baked skeleton warrior looks much taller than the previous one. The body is almost 1 meter tall, and the bones throughout the body are much stronger. It seems to have a solid feeling that makes people feel at ease, which makes him feel a lot more secure. Go on, synthesize. Lin Shu was not satisfied with this, but couldn't wait to start synthetic talent again. Added 2 strong skeleton warriors to the crafting slot. Buzz. The 2 vortexes started to spin crazily again, this time for a little longer. A full 5 seconds passed before the synthesis was completed, and the 2 strong skeleton warriors disappeared. What appeared instead was a bird about 1 meter tall. A strong skeleton with gray bones and sharp barbs. The soul fire in the head has also become the size of a soybean, looking slightly ferocious. Elite Skeleton Warrior Elf 1. Strong Rank 1. Life, 30. Attack, 21. Defense, 16. Skill, Spiked Shell. Passive skill. When attacked, there is a certain chance to counterattack 10% damage to the enemy. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing, recovers 1 point of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. Elite in Skeleton Warrior, has certain strength. Strong Rank 1. Lin Shu was overjoyed, her hard work really paid off. After his unremitting efforts, he finally succeeded in turning the 5 scum into a strong rank 1 unit. And it also comes with a skill, although it is useless and rubbish. The troops with strong rank 1 can finally be viewed in 3D. He is no longer a piece of junk that falls apart when walking, and his thick bones give him an extraordinary safety experience. Continue. Will it evolve directly into a rank 2 unit if you combine it again? Lin Shu was full of energy and couldn't help but look forward to it. With the newly released Elite Skeleton Warrior, Lin Shu embarks on a new journey. In this cemetery of size, countless corpses of creatures have been buried in the long history. They didn't go far before they encountered another corpse. This one looked much more complete. It is formed from the decayed corpse of a reptile. Judging from the bones, it is about 3 meters long. I don't know what kind of animal it is. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment Technique. Lin Shu didn't think much and activated the skill directly. The next second, 2 more skeleton warriors crawled out of the ground and stood in front of Lin Shu. Skeleton Warrior Elf 1. Weak Rank 1. Life 15. Attack 8. Defense 5. Skill none. Introduction. The skeleton warrior summoned from the bones of an ordinary who has been dead for unknown years, seems to fall apart if he takes a few more steps. It seems that because this corpse is relatively complete and not as completely weathered. Although the recruited skeleton warrior is still a weak rank 1, its attributes are much stronger than those of the scumbag. Even the buff that dropped the scum is gone. Lin Shu did not rush to synthesize, but continued walking forward with the 3 skeletons. I plan to recruit more and then synthesize them together. Soon, the 4th corpse came into view. The only difference is that this corpse looks much taller. What kind of ferocious beast's body is this? Lin Shu looked at the scene in front of him in shock. He could easily see a corpse lying on the ground even 100 meters away. I don't know how many bodies are buried in the ground, and the part exposed above the ground is 10 meters high. The corpse with only bones has no breath, but it is intimidating. The huge bone is just an ivory-like bone standing high like sharp tusks, and it is more than 3 meters long. The long years do not seem to have left many traces on it, let alone weathering and scum. Even the light on the bones has not dissipated too much. Looking at it from hundreds of meters away, you can still clearly see the slightly flickering fluorescence on the bones. The huge skeleton is like white jade, quietly inserted into the barren land. The more powerful a creature is, the stronger its body is. It is said that gods can even keep their bodies incorruptible for thousands of years after death. Lin Shu looked at the scene in the distance in shock and murmured to himself. The knowledge he had learned in school emerged in his mind. The energy in the bones of powerful creatures becomes more and more powerful. The stronger the creature, the shorter the time it takes to die, and the stronger the undead that can be recruited will be. The most ordinary skeleton warrior recruitment technique can even directly recruit the netherworld Wraith Emperor. Lin Shu's face flushed with excitement. In the eyes of the undead lord, the corpse of any strong man is undoubtedly the most precious resource. Legend has it that there once was a single-armed undead lord of the undead type. With great luck, he encountered the corpse of a demigod who had just fallen. He directly recruited a half-divine level necromancer from them, and from then on his strength skyrocketed and his reputation spread all over the world. Although the huge corpse in front of me is not that powerful, for a novice undead lord, still a precious and unimaginable treasure. Not to mention the netherworld Wraith Emperor, there is absolutely no problem in recruiting a rank 5 skeleton knight. Lin Shu murmured excitedly, feeling like she was really going to have. Lin Shu walked forward excitedly, but before he could get closer, her face couldn't help but change. A dangerous feeling emerged in my heart, as if it was locked by a poisonous snake. It made him stiff and break out in cold sweat. No, there is a guardian beast. Lin Shu's heart trembled, and she suddenly remembered an explanation. Any treasure must be guarded by a ferocious beast. In the paradise of the dead, there are not only recruitment resources everywhere. There are even countless undead beings born. These undead are the enemies of every trainee lord. But at the same time, it is also an important resource for lords to upgrade and improve their strength. Lin Shu was stiff all over, and big beads of sweat were dripping from her forehead. Next to such a precious resource, the strength of the guarding beast must be beyond imagination. It was definitely not something that a novice trainee lord like him could challenge. I am now locked, and I am afraid I will be blamed for my negligence today. Lin Shu remained still, his eyes searching wildly. Finally, the enemy was found in the gap under the giant skull-like skull. A skeleton that looked like white jade, holding a bone knife in its hand. It is highly concealed among the giant bones. The light yellow soul fire flashing in the head is about the size of a fist. 2 empty eyes were staring at Lin Shu, but it was okay. It seemed that it was also greedy for the essence of the giant bone, and it did not explode after seeing Lin Shu making no further moves. After a long while, Lin Shu felt that the feeling of being locked was slightly relieved. The white jade skeleton stopped looking at him and turned its head to do its own thing. White jade skeleton, at least rank 3 or above. Lin Shu breathed a sigh of relief and couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. I muttered to myself, the beast of rank 3, even though it is only 2 ranks higher than his soldier, is more than 10 times stronger. Once he really launches an attack on him, his elite skeleton warrior will probably be killed in one glance. Whether he can escape or not is unknown. But it's okay, maybe it's because he's too weak. He was not considered a threat by the white jade skeleton, so he escaped. The giant bones. The ones exposed above the ground are 10 meters high. Maybe this is a giant bone that is 100 meters high. Lin Shu took a few steps back and completely escaped the lock of the white jade skeleton. Looking at the giant bone in the distance, I feel unwilling to give up like this. This kind of giant bone is definitely a heaven-defying treasure for the Undead Lord. I'm afraid I won't encounter a treasure stronger than this in the entire trial land, so I just give up. I'm afraid my intestines will be full of regret after I leave. But the white jade skeleton of rank 3 is definitely no match right now. Isn't it just rank 3? At worst, it can be synthesized a few more times. Lin Shu looked at the white jade skeleton in the distance unwillingly, gritted his teeth secretly. At worst, I will combine a rank 3 or even a rank 4 unit and kill him. With 2 in 1 talent, as long as there are enough corpse resources. He is sure that he will be able to synthesize a powerful unit, and then he will take charge of it. If you can grab this giant bone, you'll really be lucky. Taking one last look at the giant bone, Lin Shu turned around and left reluctantly. But he didn't go far, but kept the giant bone within sight. Look for other bones nearby. We haven't encountered many precious resources like giant bones, but we don't have too many other ordinary corpses. Soon Lin Shu encountered another crumbled corpse and was too lazy to observe what species it was. The skeleton recruitment technique was activated directly, and the next second, 2 more skeleton warriors were released. Finally gathering the materials for resynthesis, Lin Shu stopped and started 2 in 1 talent. 4 skeleton warriors merge into 2 strong skeleton warriors, and 2 strong skeleton warriors merge into 1 elite skeleton warrior. Elite skeleton warrior, synthesized. Lin Shu looked at the 2 elite skeleton warriors, 1 tall and 1 short, and felt a little happy. Then without hesitation, he put the 2 of them into the synthesis column again. 5 seconds later, the vortex disappeared. A brand new skeleton appeared in front of me. Get Powerful Skeleton Warrior 1. Powerful Skeleton Warrior 1. Strong rank 1. Life, 50. Attack, 30. Defense, 25. Skill, critical hit. A critical hit with a certain chance of causing double damage to the enemy when attacking. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 2 points of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. The only strong one among skeleton warriors, possessing a powerful body and transcendence fighting skills. Still strong rank 1. Lin Shu was slightly disappointed. She originally thought that after combining 2 skeleton warriors with strong rank 1, they would become rank 2. Unexpectedly, it was still a strong rank 1. But after looking at the attributes, he felt happy again. The attributes of this skeleton warrior had reached the limit of rank 1. All 3 dimensions are at full value, and the attached skills are much more practical than the useless spiked shell before. The buff effect has also been doubled, and it only takes less than half a minute to regain full health after leaving the battle. The introduction also seems to indicate its extraordinary combat power. If you try it again, you will definitely be promoted to rank 2. Lin Shu was overjoyed. It had been less than half an hour since he entered the trial area with a full score. He has already harvested such a strong man, and the progress for him has exceeded expectations. At this moment, he just wants to quickly synthesize another powerful skeleton warrior, and then combine the 2 to witness the birth of a rank 2 unit. Skeleton Warrior, Recruitment Technique. Lin Shu couldn't wait to find a corpse again and activated the skeleton warrior recruitment technique. However, this time, my body went limp and I almost fell, feeling as if my body had been hollowed out. The recruitment technique also failed to activate. No more power. Only then did Lin Shu remember that the number of recruits was not unlimited. Every recruitment requires mana, and as a trainee lord, he only has 20 mana points, and each recruitment costs 5 mana points. 4 recruitments have exhausted all his mana. Pity. Lin Shu regretted slightly. There are 3 ways to restore mana. The first is to use mana potion, but this potion is extremely precious. Naturally, it was not something that he, a trainee lord, could get, and even if he had it, he would not be willing to use it to restore his mana. The second type is the status recovery brought about by breakthrough. Every time you break through the realm, your status will be fully full. Nor can it be used as a conventional means. The third type is suitable for all ages. It needs to be rested to recover naturally, and the speed is not too slow. If you rest in place, you will recover a little bit in about a minute. There are also many equipment items that will increase the recovery speed. Lin Shu had no choice but to sit on the floor and wait for her mana to recover naturally. Fortunately, the apprentice lord's mana limit is only 20 points, and it can be fully restored after resting for 20 minutes. At that time, recruit 4 more times, and 8 skeleton warriors can be synthesized into a powerful skeleton warrior. Look at other people's progress. Being idle and bored, Lin Shu suddenly opened the Warzone chat channel. As soon as I opened it, I saw countless cries filling the entire channel. Help! This trial is too difficult. The skeleton warriors are the weakest in the battle. Nah, what the hell is it that 8 skeleton warriors can't defeat the rank 1 monster? Phew, how can I defeat me when I'm being chased by a little skeleton holding a knife? It's quite urgent to wait online. Quote. Chat channel. Lin Shu was shocked at first glance. The situation of countless people is terrible, and there are calls for help everywhere. The most common one was the skeleton lord's scolding, complaining about the rubbish attributes and combat power of the skeleton warrior. Chat channels are divided according to regions. The comments that Lin Shu can see are all from the same region as him, Cemetery of Size. In other words, everyone is an undead lord, and skeletons are the largest branch of the undead. It even occupies 70% of the quota. And the first skill that the skeleton lord knows. Apparently it's all the same skeleton warrior recruiting technique. This kind of recruitment has very high requirements on the quality of the candidates. In the Cemetery of Size, most of the people who can be recruited are obviously no different from Lin Shu. Now that Lin Shu thinks about the crumbled skeleton, it hurts his eyes. One can imagine the other lords wailing. Not only did some people complain that they had recruited 8 skeleton warriors, but they found that they could not defeat even one ordinary rank 1 beast. Some of the unlucky ones even managed to destroy the entire group, and were chased by the rank 1 beast for no apparent reason. That's a tragedy. Most of them retreated quickly when they saw that the situation was not good, but the outcome was not much better than others. Because the fallen skeleton has a negative buff, it loses 1 life every 5 seconds. In other words, the fallen skeleton does not need to fight, it only takes 40 seconds to kill itself. This opening is simply a hellish difficulty with no solution. Lin Shu thought about it for a moment, and couldn't help but secretly sighed. He didn't even think about synthesizing a unit with rank 1 and full attributes. Now that he had a comparison, he instantly felt the difficulty of the trial. No wonder the survival rate of trial lords every year is less than 50%. Among the remaining 50%, there are still many who were eliminated and survived by luck. There are only 3 out of 10 who can truly become a lord. If you want to get through the novice stage smoothly, you either have to be lucky enough to meet someone who is not that bad and doesn't have the bones of a guardian beast. Recruit skeleton warriors who can't drop slag, then gather a few into a large number of troops to achieve full command, and then kill monsters to upgrade. Or, there is an extraordinary talent who can help skeleton warrior improve a certain level of combat power and upgrade it to a few more levels. Lin Shu murmured, and couldn't help but shake her head after thinking about it from his perspective. Both of these require good luck. In comparison, the first method is more reliable. As long as you search more, you can always find bones that are not so inferior. It's just that at this time, it depends on your own destiny. But not everyone is whaling. With a huge population base, there is never a shortage of lucky people. Ha ha ha, what a bunch of scum. My initial soldier is the rank 4 Death Knight. Killing the rank 1 beast is like chopping melons and vegetables. Now it has been upgraded to level 8. Haha, Death Knight is a dick. I will tell you that my initial unit is rank 5 Flame Bone Bow. Long range fire damage, leveling up without damage is not a dream. They're all rubbish. My soldier's unit is the rank 8 Ice Bone Dragon. It can fly. Holy shit. Boss 666, please take me, boss. Brother Bone Dragon, can you take me with you? I am the school beauty of Icefield City College. As long as you take me with you, you can do whatever you want when you go out. You idiot upstairs, I am the school beauty of Icefield City. How dare you pretend to be me? Please, brother, take me with you. My father is the Golden Lord. I will be grateful when I get out. Quote. In the chat channel, someone posted his own troop type. There are many high-level military units among them, and their familiarity makes people drool with envy. Many people, regardless of their shame, directly begged the boss to fly on their behalf, and even offered all kinds of outrageous conditions. Nah, this is the son of destiny. Lin Shu looked at the attributes of the Icebone Dragon and was so envious that his mouth watered. Rank 7's initial unit has unbelievably powerful attributes. The basic attributes of the first level are close to 1,000, which is simply outrageous. Any upgrades will increase it exponentially, and its strength is far beyond what low-level troops can compare with. I wonder how efficient I am at killing monsters as a skeleton. Seeing so many people complaining that ferocious beasts are difficult to kill, Lin Shu couldn't help but feel itchy. Ferocious beasts are very common in the trial grounds, and various undead monsters are everywhere in the cemetery of size. He had seen a lot in the past half hour, but he was too preoccupied with merging skeletons to bother killing monsters. When encountering ferocious beasts, they always walk around. Rank 1 ferocious beasts do not have a strong sense of territory. As long as they don't take the initiative to send it to your door, they won't chase and kill anyone. Forget it, let's recruit troops first and then combine them. There's no need to rush to kill monsters. After thinking about it, Lin Shu chose to give up. After all, improving strength is the most important thing. Others kill monsters because their command ability is limited. After recruiting the full number of troops, they can only increase their strength by killing monsters and upgrading. I don't have this worry, there is no need at all. Just keep recruiting and synthesizing, and then kill monsters when rank 4 troops are synthesized, and then. Lin Shu raised his head and looked into the distance. The giant bone was crawling on the barren land like a prehistoric beast. That was the treasure he cherished so much. A sharpened sword will never waste time in chopping firewood, keep recruiting. Lin Shu sat cross-legged on the ground to rest, taking advantage of the time when his mana was recovering to gradually formulate his own development plan. The strength of the initial units in the early stage is insufficient, so naturally they cannot compare with those who are lucky enough to start with rank 5 and 6 units. But when you accumulate strength, you will inevitably come first. The speed of improvement in strength will be far beyond their imagination. The trial lasts for a week, so there is no need to rush. 20 minutes passed and the mana was finally fully restored. Lin Shu suddenly became energetic, closed the chat channel and stood up. The powerful skeleton warrior was like a loyal servant, following Lin Shu step by step. Walking towards the depths of the cemetery of size. Skeleton warrior plus skeleton warrior equals strong skeleton warrior. Strong skeleton warrior plus strong skeleton warrior equals elite skeleton warrior. Elite skeleton warrior plus elite skeleton warrior equals powerful skeleton warrior. You can recruit 2 skeletons at a time, and with 20 mana you can recruit 4 times. There are 8 skeleton warriors in total, which can be synthesized exactly 7 times. The second powerful skeleton warrior is released. The attributes are exactly the same as the first one, reaching the limit of rank 1 arms. Powerful skeleton warrior, synthesized. Lin Shu rubbed his hands excitedly and couldn't wait to start the 15th synthesis. Get. Skeleton Guard 1. Skeleton Guard, rank 2 unit. Lin Shu was pleasantly surprised when the pleasant sound sounded. I couldn't wait to open the property bar of Skeleton Guard. Skeleton Guard EV1. Weak rank 2. Life, 70. Attack, 40. Defense, 35. Skill, critical hit. There is a certain chance of causing 250% damage to the enemy when attacking. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 5 points of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. An advanced strongman of the skeleton clan, possessing considerable strength. Weak rank 2, is not bad. Lin Shu looked at the newly released rank 2 unit with joy. Compared with the original rank 2 scum, it was a world of difference. It's a pity that he is a weak rank 2, with only 70 life points. It's not bad. It can be considered a rank 2 soldier after all. It has surpassed countless people. Lin Shu looked at the only soldier in front of him with satisfaction. He was 1.2 meters tall. The thick bones no longer seemed to be worried about falling off at any time, and the soul fire in the hollow head has grown again. It's almost the size of a laurel garden, and the light yellow soul fire shine looks a bit oozing. The hand bones are no longer bare-handed, but have a bone blade with the same color as its bones. The edge of the knife is a little dull, but it's better than nothing. Now it should be no problem to kill the rank 1 beast, right? Lin Shu glanced at a wandering skeleton in the distance and murmured to himself. After casually comparing the body shapes of the two, I feel that there shouldn't be a big problem. At least he has some ability to protect himself. Not enough. Keep recruiting. Lin Shu was not in a hurry to kill monsters and level up, but sat on the ground and continued to rest. When you run out of mana once, you can recruit 8 skeletons to synthesize a rank 1 skeleton with full attributes, and twice you can synthesize a weak rank 2 skeleton. Recruit twice more and you can synthesize skeleton guard again. I don't know how many times skeleton guard needs to be synthesized to break through rank 3. Lin Shu murmured to himself, synthesis is not an easy job either. 2 in 1 seems easy, but the quantity required for each synthesis increases exponentially. After a little calculation, the number required to synthesize it into late stage makes my head tingle. First synthesize it to rank 4, then start leveling. Upgrade your skill level and recruit and synthesize it. Lin Shu calculated and slightly modified his plan. A conservative estimate would require at least 1,000 skeleton warriors to synthesize a rank 4 unit. I don't dare to think about higher ones. Relying on initial skill recruitment can exhaust people to death. At a certain point, you have to start fighting monsters and upgrading to improve your strength. Only by improving your skill level. Recruiting more units at once can be more efficient. Rank 4 is enough for the trial ground. At least it surpasses 99% of the lords, and there is absolutely no problem in successfully passing the trial. Go on, let's do it. Thinking about the future, 20 minutes go by in an instant. Lin Shu got up and continued to search for the bones of the deceased. 10 minutes later, a rank 1 powerful skeleton warrior with full attributes was synthesized again. Lin Shu's mana also bottomed out again, and he continued to set off after a 20-minute rest. After each rest, 10 minutes are enough to recruit 4 times to synthesize a powerful skeleton warrior. Then rest for 20 minutes to replenish your mana, for a total of half an hour. 4.5 hours later, 9 powerful skeleton warriors stood in a row. Together with the weak rank 2 skeleton guard, a total of 10 skeletons stood quietly behind Lin Shu. The Lord's army is beginning to take shape, and its powerful aura makes the undead beasts wandering nearby unable to help but take a detour. It's full. The natural disasters of the undead are hard to deal with. Lin Shu finally stopped and couldn't help but sigh as he looked at the army standing in a row behind him. The undead are undoubtedly synonymous with terror and power in previous novels or film and television works. It was even called a natural disaster. However, in this world, the undead lords are in a weak position. Because there is an attribute called commanding power, which restricts the development of natural disasters. But this is normal. After all, the Lord Commander's subordinates cannot be infinitely controlled. Each recruitment of a unit requires part of the Lord's energy to control it, and sometimes manpower is exhausted. No matter how powerful a Lord is, it is impossible to recruit unlimited troops. There must be a limit on the number. And this quantity limit is reflected in the attribute column as command power. Ordinary trainee lords generally have a commanding power of less than 10. However, there are also people with extraordinary talent, who have more than 10 points of command power. But it won't be too high. In short, this factor strictly limits the occurrence of undead natural disasters. For a race like the Undead race, whose general strength is slightly lower than the normal level and relies entirely on numbers to win, it's a little unfriendly. Lin Shu sighed slightly, then looked at the 10 skeletons behind him. It's too difficult to take the quantity route in this world, so take the quality route. These 10 of my own are definitely high-quality troops. Now, start synthesizing. After the staff is full, you cannot continue to recruit, and your mana happens to be exhausted again. Lin Shu simply sat down cross-legged to rest while starting to compose. 2 powerful skeleton warriors are combined into a weak rank 2 skeleton guard. After the first round of synthesis, the 10 skeletons became 6. 5 skeleton guards and 1 powerful skeleton warrior. Skeleton guard, synthesis. Lin Shu continued his work and put skeleton guard into the synthesis column. Get. Elite skeleton guard 1. Elite skeleton guard EV1. Rank 2. Life, 85. Attack, 55. Defense, 40. Skill, critical hit. There is a certain chance of causing 250% damage to the enemy when attacking. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 5 points of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. A veteran skeleton race warrior with excellent combat qualities. Rank 2. Lin Shu felt happy. He was afraid that he would be like the rank 1 soldier. Combining it twice is still weak rank 1, so the materials required to synthesize high-level units will be doubled. Continue to synthesize. Lin Shu worked hard and synthesized an elite skeleton guard again. Then 2 elite skeleton guards were put into the synthesis column. Get. Powerful skeleton guard. Powerful skeleton guard EV1. Strong rank 2. Life, 100. Attack, 70. Defense, 50. Skill, critical hit. There is a certain chance of causing 300% damage to the enemy when attacking. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 8 points of life per second in non-combat state. Introduction. Powerful skeleton guard, a perfect warrior. Strong rank 2, full attributes. Lin Shu was overjoyed and looked at the familiar panel happily. Weak rank 2, strong rank 2. In other words, it only takes 3 synthesis times to break through a level. Lin Shu murmured, and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. This is much less than he expected, and the materials required to synthesize high-level arms will also be much less. Powerful skeleton guard, like powerful skeleton warrior. It is also full of attributes. The attribute limit of the rank 2 unit has been reached. Generally speaking, the maximum attribute of each level and the attack are about 70% of the life. Defense is around 50%. And life and mana are the intuitive reflection of the soldier's level. Rank 1 has 50 points of full attribute health, rank 2 has 100 points. Each time you increase rank 1 above rank 3, you will increase 100 points. Rank 3 has 200 lives, rank 4 has 300 lives, and so on. Of course, it seems that the gap between high-level arms and low-level arms is not that big. But you must know that these are just basic attributes. The increase in attributes brought about by the upgrade of the soldier's level is the big one. Every time you upgrade to a level, the same initial attributes will be added to the basic attributes. That is, rank 2 is a unit with full attributes, and the first level only has 100 health points. But rising to level 10 means 1,000 points of life. Rank 3's fully attributed troops also have LV10, but their health is as high as 2,000. The higher the soldier type, the higher the level. The gap in ability becomes even greater, and it's even more different on the late stage. After the synthesis was completed, out of 10 skeletons, only 3 were left. Strong rank 2's strong skeleton guard, weak rank 2's skeleton guard. There is still 1 powerful skeleton warrior with a strong rank 1. With 3 skeletons, 7 more places were immediately available in the establishment. However, Lin Shu couldn't help but frown slightly at this time. He had forgotten about this before. The higher the level of the synthesized skeleton, the more skeletons are needed. 10 points of command is still too low after all. If you really want to synthesize rank 4 arms, no matter how hard you calculate, it won't be enough. It doesn't seem that simple. To synthesize a strong rank 2 unit, 64 skeleton warriors are needed. 7 quotas can be synthesized twice to create a powerful skeleton warrior, which can be synthesized into a skeleton guard, and then synthesized again to create a strong skeleton guard. Synthetic rank 3 is enough for the time being. Lin Shu thought about it for a while and suddenly became convinced that 10 places were too little room for maneuver. However, rank 3 units are enough for the time being. You can completely synthesize rank 3 units and then kill monsters and level up to improve your strength. Find a way to increase the command power a little before continuing the synthesis, but in this case, the 100-meter giant bone and the white jade skeleton have to move forward smoothly. After all, I still can't compare to those strong men who start with rank 7. Lin Shu looked at the chat channel with envy. The lord named Yi Tian had become a big internet celebrity at this moment. From time to time, he showed up and posted his achievements, which attracted the crazy pursuit of countless lords. However, he does have the capital to be proud of. The Bone Dragon with initial rank 7. The power is completely beyond ordinary people's imagination. The ferocious beast that countless lords cried for father and mother was like chopping melons and vegetables in his hands. I'm definitely not able to match him at this stage, but once the late stage starts to work hard, it's definitely a sure thing to surpass him. Lin Shu cheered himself up. Rank 7 is as strong as its troops are, but it is not without limits. That Yi Tian only has a bone dragon so far. He wants to recruit powerful troops of rank 7. The requirements for recruiting resources are also extremely high. Ordinaries crumbled and weathered bones are of no use to him at all. Even with normal corpses, he could only recruit a few miniature bone dragon puppets. His strength is only as high as rank 3, and there is probably a time limit. If you want to recruit a rank 7 bone dragon, it is estimated that only the 100-meter giant bone level next to him can satisfy you. This kind of resource must be the most precious in the trial land. It is common for many lords to be unable to recruit a second high-level soldier until the end of the trial. On the contrary, despite his slow start, but as long as you continue to recruit and combine, sooner or later you will be able to combine 2 or more rank 7 units. At that time, any combination, rank 8 arms will be born in his hands. Come on. Lin Shu glanced at the chat channel with envy, then closed it to cheer herself up secretly. After resting for a while, my mana returned to full value again. Lin Shu got up and embarked on the journey again. After half an hour of recruitment, you can synthesize a powerful skeleton warrior. Lin Shu couldn't wait to start the synthesis again. Get Skeleton Guard 1. Go on, synthesize again. Lin Shu did not hesitate and put 2 skeleton guards into the synthesis column again. Get Elite Skeleton Guard 1. Rank 2 Elite Skeleton Guard. Lin Shu perked up. Synthesize another one, and you can synthesize the powerful skeleton guard, and then, you should be able to create the rank 3 unit. The trial place on the first day was the safest and calmest. When night falls, the trial land will lead to a real trial. There will be dangers at that time, and this is the best time for all lords to improve their strength. Once a certain level of strength is not reached, the next trial will be in danger. Lin Shu is also very motivated at the moment and can't take a break. Not dissing the quality of the bones at all, constantly recruiting and synthesizing them. It's just that due to the limited staff, we can't do it like before, which is like recruiting a round of mana, consuming all the mana, and then resting while synthesizing. Every time they are recruited, they are synthesized immediately, which inevitably reduces the efficiency a bit. Sometimes when encountering a vicious beast, you just avoid it and move around without fighting. But even so, after 5 hours, still completed the synthesis of the second Elite Skeleton Guard. Synthesis, Elite Skeleton Guard. Lin Shu has been working hard for 10 consecutive hours since entering the trial area. Finally ushered in a big explosion of strength, and I couldn't help but be excited at this moment. 2 vortexes appeared in front of me, sucking both Elite Skeleton Guard into them. 5 seconds later the spinning vortex stopped and disappeared. Get Powerful Skeleton Guard 1. It's done. Rank 3 arms, combined. Lin Shu's face turned red with excitement, the result of 10 hours of hard work. There are only 2 units left in front of us that carry bone blades, Powerful Skeleton Guard. Without hesitation, Lin Shu launched synthetic talent again. 2 powerful skeleton guards were sucked into it. Get Skeleton Swordsman 1. Skeleton Swordsman LV1. Weak rank 3. Life 150. Mana, 150. Attack, 110. Defense, 75. Skill, critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 350% damage to the enemy when attacking. Life sacrifice. Every time you kill 2 enemies, you can get 1 point of energy. Each point of energy can recruit an elite skeleton warrior, and you can accumulate up to 4 points of energy consuming 10 mana. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 10 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. Elite of the Skeleton Clan, possessing excellent swordsmanship. Weak rank 3, done. Lin Shu looked at the newly released unit attributes, clenched his fists and exclaimed. There are also skills. Can directly recruit elite skeleton warrior. The arms and attributes of rank 3 are completely different from those of rank 2. First of all, the attributes have changed from 3 dimensions to 4 dimensions, with an additional mana attribute. This means that the skeleton swordsman of rank 3 will no longer be a large infantryman but will have active skills. Lin Shu's eyes widened even more when he saw the extra active skill. Elite skeleton warriors can be recruited, which to others is equivalent to having an additional unit that is not subject to command restrictions. But the troops of rank 3 recruit the troops of rank 1, it doesn't actually mean anything in terms of strength. It can even be ignored. But for Lin Shu, this is simply a magical skill. Elite skeleton warrior needs to be synthesized twice to achieve it. Each elite skeleton warrior requires 4 ordinary skeleton warriors to be synthesized to achieve this. Now, you only need to kill 4 ferocious beasts to directly recruit 2 elite skeleton warriors. This can almost double his synthesis efficiency. If he had this skill during the day, it would only take him close to 5 hours to synthesize a skeleton swordsman. Buzz. Just when Lin Shu was about to find a ferocious beast to test, suddenly a blood-red light fell on the ground. At this moment, some strange changes seemed to have taken place in the place of trial. The blood moon is coming. It's night so soon. Lin Shu was in a daze, and she didn't expect that the first day would pass like this. There are no constant battles, killing monsters, and leveling up that we learned in school, and there are no treasure hunting adventures. Some are just busy recruiting, synthesizing, recruiting, and synthesizing again. Before I knew it, it was already night. The cemetery of sighs is a paradise for the dead, and the sky is filled with gray clouds. Even during the day, the visibility is very low. At night, the blood moon comes and dyes the world with a layer of bright red blood. On the contrary, it became much brighter. The arrival of the blood moon is a unique feature of the trial land. It also means that the trial will officially begin. Under the influence of the blood moon, the monsters in the trial land will no longer be passive monsters that are harmless to humans and animals. Instead, it has become an active monster that will attack the Lord when it sees it, and its hatred range has increased more than 10 times. And you will also get the buff blessing of a blood moon, with faster and higher attacks and powerful healing ability. If the lords do not gain a certain level of strength during the day, then the first night will be the most difficult crisis for them to survive. Upgrade skeleton swordsman a few levels first, and then find a cave mansion. Lin Shu looked up at the sky and murmured to himself, thinking about how to spend the night. The arrival of the blood moon is the first danger that all trainee lords encounter in the trial land. But danger also comes with opportunities. If used well, it will also be an important opportunity to improve your strength. With the appearance of the blood moon, many cave mansion will be randomly refreshed in the trial land. If the lords can occupy a cave mansion, they can continuously improve their strength, permanently increasing the lord's life or mana. This will also be an important indicator for judging whether the lord has passed the level or been eliminated a week later. However, cave mansion is not that easy to defend. It naturally has an attribute that attracts attacks from vicious beasts. And it will also be a battleground for all powerful lords. If you don't have enough strength, staying outside is much safer than staying in cave mansion. However, he has skeleton swordsmen of rank 3, so he should be considered a relatively strong group. This cave mansion is certainly not to be missed. But there is still something lacking right now, that is, his skeleton swordsman is only level 1. Although it is rank 3, it is not very strong in terms of attributes alone. It's not even as good as the rank 1 troops that others have upgraded to level 5 or 6. Boom! A golden beam of light appeared out of thin air in the distance, and the golden light was particularly conspicuous on the red earth. I don't know how far apart they are, but they still caught Lin Shu's attention instantly. Before Lin Shu could calculate the distance, another beam of light appeared out of thin air. Like an Optimus giant pillar, it is firmly inserted into the ground, with different colors. But the only thing they have in common is that they are highly recognizable, making it easy for people to spot them even if they are thousands of miles apart. Cave Mansion, here it comes. Lin Shu's pupils shrank and she murmured to herself. Cave Mansion is also divided into grades. According to red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, white, black and gold, it is divided into 10 grades from low to high. The higher the level of the cave mansion, the more attributes it will naturally obtain. Every high-level cave mansion must be a battleground for countless strong players. It is even said that there will be a guardian beast occupying the cave mansion above blue. If you want to occupy it, you need to defeat the guardian beast first. The minimum guardian beast is a rank 3 monster of level 20 or above. In the early stage, it basically has no chance of being associated with the ordinary lord. Green Cave Mansion. Lin Shu locked his eyes on the green cave mansion closest to him at a glance. The green light pillar was unusually conspicuous under the red sky, almost 3 kilometers away from him. The coordinates appear. The rankings also appear. Lin Shu's heart moved, knowing that the real trial had officially begun. In the upper right corner of the property bar, a coordinate and a ranking list appear. Silently recording the coordinates of the giant bone, Lin Shu clicked on the ranking list again. There is still nothing on it at the moment. This is the ranking that occupies Cave Mansion. Apparently it has just started and no one has had time to settle in the Cave Mansion yet. Just as he was about to close it, a golden name quietly appeared on the ranking list. Number 1, Yitian Orange Cave Mansion. Sure enough, the strength is extraordinary. It is said that the bone dragon can also be used as a mount. A trace of envy flashed through Lin Shu's heart. This person was currently the most prominent figure in the entire cemetery of size. With the initial unit of rank 7 occupying the first place, no one can shake its position. Hurry up! Lin Shu closed the leaderboard and led skeleton swordsmen quickly towards the goal. By the way, prepare to find some monsters to kill and upgrade. In fact, there is no need for him to take the initiative to find ferocious beasts to kill. Under the influence of the blood moon, countless ferocious beasts are like sharks that smell the smell of blood. The red light flashed in the empty eye sockets, looking for traces of the human lord. Swish, swish, swish. The barren land trembled, and a skeleton warrior tremblingly climbed up from the ground. He tilted his head and ran towards Lin Shu, ready to attack. Aha! Skeleton swordsman is like a loyal guard, with the sharp bone sword in his hand rising and falling. The skeleton warrior's head was chopped off neatly, and the remaining bones instantly fell apart and fell to the ground. Experience gained. 5. Get copper coins. 1. Skeleton warrior recruitment technique. Lin Shu is not idle either. Ready-made bones cannot be wasted. The recruitment technique was activated directly, and in the next second 2 skeleton warriors were released. Synthesis. The fallen skeleton warrior can only survive for 40 seconds, so Lin Shu naturally doesn't dare to neglect it. Just synthesize a strong skeleton warrior from them. Lin Shu continued to move forward with 3 skeletons, and the strength of skeleton swordsman rank 3 was finally reflected. With the sword raised and lowered, the rank 1 undead blocking the road were like chopping melons and vegetables. Instantly turned into withered bones all over the ground. The only pity is that Lin Shu's magic power is limited. After only 4 recruitments, they were all consumed, and 8 skeleton warriors were finally synthesized into 1 powerful skeleton warrior. Time was running out at this moment, and Lin Shu couldn't afford to rest where he was to recover his mana. He could only ignore the dead bones on the ground and move forward quickly with his troops. However, although there is no recruitment, the increase in the number of his troops has never been slow. Every time you kill 2 skeleton swordsmen, you can recruit an elite skeleton warrior. On the contrary, his strength increased at a speed far exceeding that during the day. Blood sacrifice. Synthesis. Get. Powerful skeleton warrior. Synthesis. Get skeleton guard. Blood sacrifice. Synthesis. Opening square bracket, closing square bracket. Lin Shu's mana was emptied, but she became even busier. Rank 3's Skeleton Swordsman has a 4-dimensional attribute of over 100. The Skeleton Swordsman's bone sword is almost rounded. Crazy slashing at the approaching enemies, even if a fish occasionally slipped through the net, it would be instantly killed by Lin Shu's continuously synthesized skeleton guard. Get Experience 5. Skeleton Swordsman LV1 Right Pointing Arrow LV2. After killing the 20th undead, a milky white light floated from Skeleton Swordsman's body. Skeleton Swordsman has been upgraded. Upgraded. Lin Shu was overjoyed. The higher the level of the troops, the higher their strength will be with each upgrade. A first-level Skeleton Swordsman is equivalent to a 4th-level rank 1 soldier at most, but a second-level Skeleton Swordsman is at least equivalent to an 8th-level rank 1 soldier. The 3rd-level Skeleton Swordsman directly surpasses the full-level rank 1 unit. Skeleton Swordsman LV2. Weak rank 3. Life, 300. Mana, 300. Attack, 220. Defense, 150. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 350% damage to the enemy when attacking. Life sacrifice. Every time you kill 2 enemies, you can get 1 point of energy. Each point of energy can recruit an elite skeleton warrior, and you can accumulate up to 4 points of energy consuming 10 mana. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 10 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. Elite of the Skeleton Clan, possessing excellent swordsmanship. Attack more than 200. Lin Shu looked at the properties of Skeleton Swordsman and nodded with satisfaction. The attributes are directly doubled, and the number of skeleton warriors that can be recruited by the active skill Life Sacrifice is also doubled. It seems that the skill effect has not changed much, but the consumption is equivalent to being halved. Previously, you could only recruit up to 2 elite skeleton warriors at a time, but it cost 10 mana points. Now with the same 10 mana points, you can directly recruit 4 elite skeleton warriors at once. Keep going. Lin Shu was overjoyed and led his troops to continue moving towards the Green Cave Mansion. All experience gained from killing monsters is given to Skeleton Swordsman. Synthesis. Get Skeleton Guard 1. Get Elite Skeleton Guard 1. After killing 20 monsters, Skeleton Swordsman brought 10 elite skeleton warriors. Recruited 4 times and obtained 8 skeleton warriors. After synthesizing them all, we got a weak rank 2 skeleton guard and a rank 2 elite skeleton guard. The efficiency is much better than simply recruiting. It would be great if we recruit a few more skeleton swordsmen. Lin Shu was happily looking forward to it. Maybe he wouldn't have to rush to combine the rank 4 arms. This life sacrifice skill is simply a magical skill for him. If the synthesis is gone, it will be a big loss. Lin Shu led 3 skeletons forward under the bloody moonlight. Occasionally, there are bursts of oozing whimpering sounds from the distance. This is the terrifying sound made by the wind passing through the gaps in the bones of the undead. Countless undead clans climbed up from the ground, as if awakened by the blood moon, fervently attacking all creatures within range. Withered bones scattered all over the ground. Lin Shu's eyes were filled with tears. It's a pity that there is no time to restore mana. Fortunately, this is just the beginning of the trial. So far, he has not encountered a rank 2 undead. All rank 1 undead are killed in the hands of skeleton swordsmen like melons and vegetables. Turned into a little bit of energy, the skeleton swordsman recruited elite skeleton warriors one by one, enriching Lin Shu's consumable library. Get Experience 5. Skeleton Swordsman LV2 Right Pointing Arrow LV3. After killing 50 rank 1 undead again, Skeleton Swordsman's body once again glowed with milky white light. The level has been raised from LV2 to LV3, and the 4-dimensional attributes have once again skyrocketed. Skeleton Swordsman LV3. Weak rank 3. Life, 450. Mana, 450. Attack, 330. Defense, 225. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 350% damage to the enemy when attacking. Life sacrifice. Every time you kill 2 enemies, you will get 1 point of energy. Each point of energy can recruit an elite skeleton warrior, and you can accumulate up to 6 points of energy consuming 10 mana. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 10 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. Elite of the Skeleton Clan, possessing excellent swordsmanship. That should be enough. Lin Shu looked at the green light not far away with joy on her face. There were numerous figures, and he met other lords for the first time in the trial field. The Green Cave Mansion is the highest level cave mansion without a guardian beast. Lin Shu suddenly realized that this was expected. At this stage, except for those Sons of Destiny who have extremely high initial military levels, other lords will never have the strength to compete for the high-level cave mansion. So this high-level cave mansion, which currently has no guardian beasts, has naturally become everyone's top priority. It is normal for many lords to appear at the entrance of the Green Cave Mansion within a certain area. I want this cave mansion. Anyone who is not afraid of death can give it a try. Lin Shu gradually approached without attracting the attention of others. When people saw a few skeletons, they turned their heads without thinking at all. The person occupying cave mansion at the moment is a young man with a hooked nose. He was sitting cross-legged in cave mansion and sneered at the other people who were watching eagerly outside. He was not afraid at all when facing 10 lords. On the contrary, a group of lords who were watching showed their unwillingness, but did not dare to step forward. Elite Skeleton Warrior, level up to level 6. Lin Shu took a quick look and understood the situation here. Those soldiers who frequently rank 3 or even 6 at rank 7 are only a minority after all. Less than 100 of the hundreds of thousands of lords in the entire cemetery of size are known, and even fewer are scattered in each area. There are a lot of green cave mansions, and the chance of encountering one among dozens of people is obviously extremely low. Generally speaking, most people or ordinaries rank 1 troops. As the largest branch of the skeleton clan in the undead system, it is even more normal for the initial troops to recruit scummy skeletons. In this case, finding a good skeleton and recruiting a strong skeleton is considered extremely lucky. Belonging to the elite among the subordinates, we must focus on cultivating them. The person in front of me actually recruited an elite skeleton warrior. Naturally, his strength is far beyond that of ordinary people, not to mention that his level has been raised to level 6. It is enough to show that he probably recruited this unit very early and spent a whole day helping it upgrade. At this moment, with this unit, he stood out among a group of lords and successfully occupied a green cave mansion. If you want to go up, go up. If you don't want to go up, get out. The monster will come soon. Don't blame me for not warning you. Seeing a group of people cowering, the young man couldn't help but become more arrogant. The 6th level elite skeleton warrior has 3-dimensional attributes close to 300. His attributes are such that he is 1 step ahead of others. Even if these people swarm him, he is not afraid. He is going to order this green cave mansion. So arrogant. HMPH, isn't it just to enter the cave mansion first? If there were so many of us outside, we would be enough to hack him to death. Hey, so what if we hack him to death? We can't defend him even with our strength. If 1 person can't defend it, then 2 people will do it. At worst, we can take turns to upgrade. Forget it, the higher the level of the cave mansion, the stronger the monsters it attracts. Occupying a green cave mansion is not necessarily a good thing. Let's go. Do you have any brothers to form a team? Let's go find a yellow cave mansion. Me, count me in. Quote. The lords outside were so angry at his arrogant attitude that they could only look at the elite skeleton and sigh. After hovering for a moment, they were noisily preparing to disperse. Yeah, who is he? What does he want to do? At this moment, someone suddenly exclaimed. I saw a handsome young man ignoring the people leaving and heading straight towards the cave mansion with a few skeletons. The figure swimming upstream was so conspicuous that it quickly attracted everyone's attention. Someone was about to say something sarcastic, but when he saw the soldiers behind Lin Shu clearly, his pupils suddenly shrank. This skeleton is so fierce. Hiss. Is this elite skeleton warrior? What is that? Why does it look like elite skeleton warrior is the weakest? Holy shit. That's the rank 2 unit skeleton guard. Boss. A big boss is here. Haha, look at that kid still being arrogant. I didn't expect that there are big bosses in our area. Big boss, please take me with you. I am from the Wu family in Juhua City. I will be grateful if you take me out. Boss, can you take me with you? The Lord of Kiming City is my father. Quote. Everyone was shocked. The appearance of the skeleton clan is very different, especially when the level is low. But if you look closely, it's actually easy to spot the difference. The most obvious thing is that the stronger the strength, the thicker the bones. Secondly, the color of the skeleton will also indicate the strength and grade of the skeleton to a great extent. The lowest end skeleton warrior has the highest distinction. The bones are like weathered wood, with a very poor texture that seems to break if touched. Slightly better is strong skeleton warrior, which is not much different from skeleton warrior. The only thing is that it finally stopped falling off. But when you further become an elite skeleton warrior, your bones will obviously become much stronger. It looks a bit more majestic. At this time, in the skeleton behind Lin Shu, the mighty elite skeleton warrior is the least conspicuous one, while the other skeletons are more conspicuous than the other. This made them even a little bit unbelievable for a while. Someone went back and forth between the elite skeleton warrior behind Lin Shu and the elite skeleton warrior guarding the Green Cave Mansion before finally confirming it. Why do I suddenly feel that this guy is nothing special? The Lord, who was a little afraid of the arrogant young man just now, suddenly looked at each other and said, Rank 2 skeleton guard, his, Rank 3 skeleton swordsman, how is that possible? The noisy movement also alarmed the young man in Cave Mansion. He stretched out his head and took a look at the soldiers behind Lin Shu. His face suddenly turned green. The young man screamed and looked at Lin Shu, who was walking straight towards him in disbelief. My scalp suddenly felt numb. Hiss. His voice also caused an uproar among the people outside. Everyone looked at Lin Shu with fiery eyes. That's called envy, jealousy, and hatred. Rank 3's skeleton swordsman, although it seems like nothing in the chat channel. I was so overwhelmed by Etienne's brilliance that I couldn't even make a splash, but when I really encountered it in reality, the impact is beyond imagination. Is this the rank 3 unit? There is even a sword. Nonsense. Skeleton swordsman. What is a swordsman without a sword? What a mighty skeleton swordsman. Who can withstand this sword? Haha, isn't it just a skeleton swordsman? It's no exaggeration to say that I dream of having one. Silly people are still envious, but smart people have begun to worship me. Boss, please guide me, I will shout 666. Brother, can you take care of my little sister? She knows 36 postures. What? Exener. You. Quote. Lin Shu was shocked by the lively scene around him. It was the first time he felt that the treatment of strong men was so exaggerated. There were a dozen lords in total, and all the male lords looked at his skeleton swordsman with envy and jealousy. The tears are almost flowing. Female lords are even more exaggerated. Their prime years are the most attractive years in themselves. Now it's posted directly. If you weren't worried about skeleton swordsman's strength, I would probably start it directly. The sight of a group of male lords made them look angry. The voices of people asking for guidance and team formation are endless, which annoys Lin Shu very much. It wasn't until skeleton swordsman drew his sword and stepped forward. The cold bone sword sent chills down everyone's spine before they stopped. Every place of trial has its own destiny. It's best for everyone to hurry up and find Cave Mansion. Lin Shu said lightly, and then looked at the young man in the green Cave Mansion. I don't know if he was frightened or was set off by the green light beam. This unlucky guy's face is now frighteningly green. I want this Cave Mansion. Are you coming out on your own, or should I ask you to come out? The Green Cave Mansion is just a cave with an area of less than 10 square meters. Lin Shu stood on the ground, looked down at this person, and said lightly. Skeleton swordsman seemed to feel his master's thoughts, and silently stepped forward and showed off the bone sword in his hand. I am a member of the Wang family in Qingyuan City. How about asking my brother to give me some face and find another cave mansion? The young man looked troubled, put on a smile and said with his hands. Base. Lin Shu didn't speak. Skeleton swordsman's virtual slash showed his attitude. He has never heard of Qingyuan City. This world is huge, and there are countless cities. The major families are naturally like crucian carps crossing the river, but everyone is living in precarious circumstances. Naturally, no one cares whether you are the Wang family or the Zhang family, and there are very few connections between different cities. Except for people from the same city, who cares who you are? You, hee, leave now, brother please. When Wang Sicao saw Lin Shu being so disrespectful, his expression suddenly changed. However, after looking at the cold light flashing from the skeleton swordsman, I didn't dare to talk nonsense. He forced a smile on his face, hunched over and crawled out of the cave mansion, leading the elite skeleton warrior away in despair. Let's break up. Lin Shu naturally didn't bother to put in more effort to capture the cave mansion peacefully. After getting into the cave mansion, he looked at the onlookers around him and said calmly, "Brother, do you really not need a bed warmer? I can also beat my back." A young girl looked at cave mansion unwillingly, with a somewhat flattering look in her eyes. Her response was silent. In the end, she could only leave sadly. The first step is completed. After successfully capturing a green cave mansion, Lin Shu was refreshed. He sat cross-legged on the ground and looked around. Cave mansion is not large in area, and it exudes a light green light. It gives people a warm feeling and dispels the rotten smell in the cemetery of size. He couldn't help but feel relaxed. Tip: capture the green cave mansion for 0.60ths of a second. A prompt sounded, and the cave mansion must be occupied for 1 minute without being interrupted. That's true occupation. Only after you successfully occupy it will you get the attribute bonus of the green cave mansion. The longer you occupy it, the greater the improvement you will get. This is the first step to widen the gap between the strong man and the ordinary lord. I don't know when I will be able to attract a vicious beast to attack. Lin Shu sat cross-legged on the ground and thought about it, unable to help but look forward to it. Chapter 11. If others knew what he was thinking, they would secretly call him crazy. Others are just hoping that there will be no ferocious beasts to attack so that they can spend the night in the cave mansion peacefully. It would be nice for him to get attribute bonuses to improve his strength. He even expected the ferocious beast to attack. Lin Shu naturally has his own ideas. Skeleton swordsman killed 60 more ferocious beasts along the way just now before reaching level 3. Obtained 30 elite skeleton warriors through life sacrifice skills. In addition to the ones killed and recruited before, after synthesis, there are now 1 powerful skeleton warrior, 2 skeleton guards and 4 elite skeleton guards. By combining it at will, you can get another skeleton swordsman. With 2 rank 3 soldiers in this way, he would only be afraid that there would be too few ferocious beasts to kill. Relying on the small entrance of cave mansion, he is not afraid of any number of ferocious beasts. As long as there are no ferocious beasts with rank 4 or above. However, on the first day of the trial, if a rank 3 ferocious beast appeared in the sky, it would be the best. Rank 4 ferocious beasts are probably going to be found in other high-level cave mansions. Synthesis. Idle time is also idle. Lin Shu directly started the synthesis talent. 4 elite skeleton guards were synthesized twice in a row, and the second skeleton swordsman was released. I took a look at the attributes, and they were no different from the first skeleton swordsman. Lin Shu arranged for 2 people, 1 on the left and 1 on the right, to stand guard at the entrance of cave mansion. The 2 skeleton guards were also synthesized by him into elite skeleton guards, with the last and most powerful skeleton warrior standing behind him as a backup. After all this, the reading strip occupying cave mansion finally came to an end. A pleasant sound sounded. Tip: capture completed. Get green cave mansion. Benefits: restore life and mana 10 points per minute, increase life and mana 4 points per hour, increase command power 4/10 of hour. A pleasant sound sounded, and the ranking list automatically opened in front of Lin Shu. His name also jumped right off the page. Number 986, Lin Shu Green Cave Mansion. Occupancy time, 0 minutes. Ranking 986. Not bad. Lin Shu was surprised. She didn't expect that she could still be on the list. You must know that more than half an hour has passed since the Blood Moon came to Cave Mansion. There are more than 100,000 trial lords in the cemetery of size. There will always be people who are lucky enough to appear directly next to the Green Cave Mansion. There are no guardian beasts in this level of Cave Mansion. As long as you don't encounter a lord stronger than yourself, anyone can directly occupy it. If you stay for 1 minute, you will be listed on the list even if you successfully occupy it. It took him so long to occupy it. I didn't expect it to be on the list. But when he took a look at the rankings in front of him, his satisfaction disappeared instantly. Number 1. Yitian Blue Cave Mansion. Occupation time, 10 minutes. NO2. Zhongqingyang Cyan Cave Mansion. Occupation time, 5 minutes. NO3. Linyao Cyan Cave Mansion. Occupation time, 5 minutes. NO4. Fangyifan Cyan Cave Mansion. Duration, 4 minutes. Opening square bracket. Closing square bracket. The top 10 ones all have a cyan cave mansion on top of a green cave mansion with a guardian beast. Yitian, who is number 1, is even more outstanding, actually occupying the blue cave mansion, which is a higher level. Looking further back, the first 100 lords are already in green cave mansion. However, the occupation time was more than 20 minutes, which means that they were occupied in a short period of time since the cave mansion first appeared. To this day, no one has been kicked out of the cave mansion. This is undoubtedly an affirmation of their strength. At the very least, they are one of the best in the area. From now on, the gold content will be reduced a lot, and it can take up to 10 minutes. The short one only lasts a few minutes, and the ranking keeps changing. People seem to be getting kicked out constantly. Lin Shu's ranking also began to skyrocket at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just 2 minutes, he went from nearly 1,000 to more than 500. The strength is still not enough. Lin Shu shook his head and closed the list. The pride in his heart disappeared instantly. The advantages brought by the initial high-level troops are too great. Especially Yi Tian, who directly challenged the Blue Cave Mansion. With the strength of the rank 7 unit, I am afraid that the Blue Cave Mansion is not his limit. He may have to change to the Purple Cave Mansion or even higher after a while. Everyone in the top 10 can be called a son of fortune, and their strength cannot be underestimated. It's far beyond what he can challenge now. Weak rank 3, strong rank 3, each level requires at least 16 to advance once. Rank 7 is too far away for now, but rank 4 and rank 5 are not impossible. Lin Shu's eyes flashed, and she murmured to herself, thinking. With the skills of skeleton swordsman, the synthesis efficiency is greatly improved. If everything goes well tonight, maybe we can synthesize rank 4 or even rank 5 troops tomorrow. At this rate, it seems that surpassing rank 7 is just around the corner. Lin Shu looked forward to it, and suddenly felt that all the fatigue in his body seemed to be gone. When Yi Tian saw that his name suddenly became second, he didn't know how wonderful his expression would be. Woo! On the barren land, the strong wind howled. Passing through the hollow bodies of the undead, sounds like ghosts crying and wolf howling echoed in the cemetery of sighs. It made many lords who dared not enter cave mansion tremble with fear. This sharp roar also seemed to awaken the will of the dead, and countless undead creatures climbed up from the ground. The number has increased more than 10 times compared to the daytime. Under the erosion of the blood moon, they became even more bloodthirsty and violent, rushing towards all living beings they could sense. Most of them are attracted by the light pillars of Cave Mansion, and they want to tear everything in Cave Mansion apart. Finally come. Lin Shu perked up and looked expectantly outside the Cave Mansion. Through the hole in the Cave Mansion, one can easily see the undead outside slowly marching towards his Cave Mansion. Immediately, 2 skeleton swordsmen were dispatched to guard the entrance of Cave Mansion. Base. Swinging the bone blade, he could easily kill the invading undead. The LV3 skeleton swordsman is just like chopping melons and vegetables against these rank 1 ferocious beasts. Even the newly synthesized LV1 skeleton swordsman can kill the enemy with at most 2 swords. With its defense, ordinary's rank 1 beast cannot break through the defense at all. Occasionally, damage will occur, but it can be easily recovered with the blessing of the passive skill Netherworld Wraith Emperor. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment Technique. Sacrifice of Life. Synthesis. Lin Shu is very busy at the moment. The Green Cave Mansion's recovery blessing can restore 10 mana points per minute. Although it is still not worth the consumption of constant recruitment, he still has to pay attention to the life sacrifice energy of the 2 skeleton swordsmen. Once full, it will be released immediately, and then it will be continuously synthesized. Taken together, this reply will allow him to keep recruiting. Using a 2-pronged approach, Lin Shu's strength increased at a terrifying speed. Get. Powerful Skeleton Warrior 1. Get. Elite Skeleton Guard 1. Skeleton Swordsman LV3 Right Pointing Arrow LV4. Get. Powerful Skeleton Guard 1. Skeleton Swordsman kills like crazy, and undead monsters crawl out of the earth one after another. Then he came to the Green Cave Mansion and was killed by Skeleton Swordsman and turned into life energy. Then he gathered a team and was recruited by Lin Shu to become an elite skeleton warrior. The corpse turned into withered bones. Lin Shu directly sat in the cave mansion and recruited 2 skeleton warriors. It can be said that everyone contributed from body to soul, maximizing Lin Shu's strength. Synthesis. Lin Shu was so happy that when the second powerful skeleton guard appeared, without hesitation, I put the 2 skeleton guards into the synthesis column. Get. Skeleton Swordsman 1. The third one. Lin Shu was excited, but unfortunately the entrance to Cave Mansion was too small. Only 2 skeleton swordsmen can be placed, and the newly recruited skeleton swordsman has no use. At this time, he could no longer see many monsters outside the cave mansion. The densely packed undead monsters surrounded the door. However, only the 30 monsters in the innermost layer could squeeze through the door. Skeleton Swordsman is like a door god, waving the bone sword tirelessly. Transform each monster into pure energy. Half an hour later, with an excited expression on Lin Shu's face, the 4th skeleton swordsman is released. Skeleton Swordsman. Synthesis. Lin Shu looked at the 2 idle skeleton swordsmen in front of him and felt itchy for a moment. I simply started the synthesis again and put 2 LV1 skeleton swordsmen into the synthesis column. Get. Elite Skeleton Swordsman 1. Elite Skeleton Swordsman LV1. Rank 3. Life. 180. Mana. 180. Attack. 125. Defense. 90. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 350% damage to the enemy when attacking. Life sacrifice. Every time you kill 2 enemies, you can get 1 point of energy. Each point of energy can recruit an elite skeleton warrior, and you can accumulate up to 4 points of energy consuming 20 mana. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 15 points of life per second in non-combat state. The effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. Elite in Skeleton Swordsman, has good swordsmanship. Still there. Lin Shu couldn't wait to open the attribute bar and scrolled to the bottom. When he saw that the life sacrifice skill was still there, he breathed a sigh of relief. Although this skill is not very powerful, it is a magical skill for him now. For other things, attribute improvement seems less important. There is an additional elite skeleton swordsman, but it does not improve Lin Shu's efficiency. Cave Mansion is only so big, and no matter how powerful it is, it can still only maintain that efficiency. 10 minutes later, another skeleton swordsman was released. Half an hour later, the second elite skeleton swordsman appeared. Synthesis. Lin Shu did not hesitate and put 2 elite skeleton swordsmen into the synthesis column. Get. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman 1. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman LV1. Strong Rank 3. Life. 200. Mana. 200. Attack. 140. Defense. 100. Opening square bracket ... Closing square bracket. The attributes are still as Lin Shu expected. It is a strong rank 3 unit with full attributes. The skills haven't changed much, and life sacrifice is still there. It's just that the energy limit has been raised directly to 6 points. With one more, we can combine them into rank 4 units. Lin Shu was looking forward to it. Compared with the daytime efficiency, this kind of efficiency was like riding a rocket. In just 1 hour, I gained more than 10 hours of hard work during the day. It's a pity that there are fewer undead monsters outside. The surrounding water is no longer impenetrable, and the density visible to the naked eye has dropped a lot. Undead monsters are not endless after all. The attraction of Cave Mansion is not unlimited. After all nearby monsters are killed, only the monsters that occasionally wander here will be captured. Then they came to the door based on the violent instinct brought by the blood moon, and the number naturally became much scarcer. It took 10 minutes to craft a skeleton swordsman, but now it takes half an hour. But Lin Shu is not in a hurry. The efficiency has far exceeded his expectations. The efficiency of life sacrifice cannot keep up. He also has the skeleton recruitment technique. The 2-pronged approach is still far more efficient than during the day. An hour later, an elite skeleton swordsman was synthesized. 2.5 hours later, the second elite skeleton swordsman appeared. Done. Lin Shu was so happy that she immediately put down all her work. Talent synthesis started. Get. Powerful skeleton swordsman 1. Get. Skeleton knight 1. Combined twice in a row, a new type of soldier appears in front of you. Tall. Powerful. Before he had time to look at the attributes, Lin Shu's eyes lit up just by the appearance of the newly released units. A skeleton rides a bone horse, and the bone sword in his hand has been replaced by a 1.5 meter long bone spear. The bone horse is 1 meter tall and looks like a miniature BMW. A skeleton of matching size sits astride the war horse. The fierce aura of the handheld bone spear came to my face. Skeleton Knight LV1. Weak rank 4. Life, 270. Mana, 270. Attack, 190. Defense, 135. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 400% damage to the enemy when attacking. Charge. Crash into the enemy at an extremely fast speed, causing it to be stunned for 3 seconds and causing an additional 200% damage. Charge ignores terrain restrictions. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 20 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. The knight who can tame the war horse is the backbone of the skeleton race. Life sacrifice, gone. Lin Shu frowned and was secretly glad in her heart. Fortunately, he kept the original 2 skeleton swordsmen and didn't synthesize them. Otherwise, this big bug will be lost. However, Skeleton Knight is a rank 4 unit after all, and its powerful attributes are not limited. The replaced skill also brings the first active output skill, which also comes with a control effect. The power is absolutely extraordinary. Experience, give it all to Skeleton Knight. Lin Shu thought for a moment and secretly changed the experience share. Previously, it was positioned to train the 2 goalkeepers skeleton swordsmen. All experience gave it 2 points. There are currently 2 skeleton swordsmen, one at LV10 and one at LV9, but now that there are rank 4 arms. Naturally, the main force will also change. Raise the skeleton knight level, and maybe try to fight a cyan cave mansion. Lin Shu murmured, walked to the door of cave mansion and looked into the distance. A cyan light pillar not far away is so dazzling in the night sky. Cyan cave mansion, it is said that the general guardian beast has a strength of around rank 3 of 20. According to the normal strength of rank 3, the life and mana should be around 3,600. The attack is close to 2,000, and for a novice lord on the first day, he is simply a godlike existence. But for him, there is no chance. Skeleton Knight has been raised to about LV13, and it should be enough to cooperate with 2 skeleton swordsmen. Lin Shu calculated and felt certain in his heart. However, Lin Shu was in trouble next. When the ferocious beasts were gathering together, he was killing 2 skeleton swordsmen to about level 10. Now I want to raise Skeleton Knight from scratch to level 13. Where can I get so many monsters? Forget it, let nature take its course. After thinking about it for a while and having no clue, Lin Shu simply gave up the plan. The trial lasts for 1 week, so there is no need to rush. The Green Cave Mansion has become a treasure that many people can only hope to find. As a person, you must know how to be content. Skeleton Swordsman was already busy guarding the door. A ferocious beast would occasionally come in a few minutes. Lin Shu had also recruited all the dead bones on the ground, and he was free for a while. Ha! Lin Shu yawned, and a ray of sleepiness came over her. After calculation, he has been running around for 15 or 6 hours since he entered the trial place. As a trainee lord who has just embarked on the road of Transcendent, it is really difficult to bear it. Fighting back her sleepiness, Lin Shu opened the chat channel. The chat channel at this time was much more lively than during the day, and there were many familiar faces among the lords who spoke. Lin Shu took a closer look and found out that they were all famous experts on the ranking list. After a few hours, the list on the leaderboard has basically stabilized. Those who can't hold it will be replaced early, and those who can hold it will only get stronger and stronger. Others are absolutely unshakable. And now, the fierce battle is over. Those who made the list on the first day of the trial are undoubtedly the proud ones in their respective regions, and they have the capital to be proud of. Now that I have free time, I naturally don't want to just fall asleep like this. The so-called wealth and honor are not returned to the hometown, just like walking in brocade at night. Pretending is a common characteristic of all living beings, and these young trainee lords are no exception. Number 1 Yi Tian. Hey, the purple cave mansion is too difficult, I still can't beat it. No 362 Zhu Wu. Brother Tian 666, can you tell me how to fight the Cyan Cave Mansion? No 862 Wawa. Brother Tian 666, Brother Tian, please take me. No 3 Lin Yao. Brother Tian is so strong that he even started attacking the purple cave mansion. Unlike me, I can't even get through the blue cave mansion. No 8 Fang Kaiyu. Hey, upgrading is too difficult. My undead knight is only level 15. If I want to play the blue cave mansion, I have to upgrade to at least level 20 to have any hope. No 2 Zhang Qingyang. Take your time. After the first wave of monsters is over, there will be a lot less. But there is a little trick. Change to an unowned cave mansion and you can absorb another wave of ferocious beasts. No 12 Qin Yi. Wow, is it true? Brother Yang, okay, I'll try it now. The chat channel at night seems to have become a place for strong men to show off. Moreover, the ranking of Cave Mansion was blessed by default, which made countless other ordinary lords look with envy. These days I'm embarrassed to speak without a clue. Even if it is on the list, the owner of the Green Cave Mansion can only shout a few words 666. At least those who are above the Cyan Cave Mansion are qualified to speak, and every time they are sure to attract praise from countless powerful people. Lin Shu looked at it silently for a few times. It was just a pastime before going to bed. Unexpectedly, there was an unexpected gain. Changing to a cave mansion can absorb another wave of vicious beasts. Lin Shu's eyes lit up. This was a little trick that she didn't know existed. However, from the words of the second-place Zhang Qingyang, this person has now gone to the Blue Cave Mansion. With his status, he shouldn't tell lies. It's a pity that it's too late to know now. On the first night of the trial, there were an extremely large number of lords. All cave mansions within the green area have been occupied. I am looking for an unowned cave mansion. Only cave mansion of Cyan level or above is available. There is no chance today, I can only wait until tomorrow to try again. Ha! Lin Shu yawned, feeling completely sleepy. He took one last look at the chat channel and closed it, then began to look at the attributes of his troops. Skeleton Swordsman LV10. Weak rank 3. Life, 1500. Mana, 1500. Attack, 1050. Defense, 750. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 350% damage to the enemy when attacking. Life sacrifice. Every time you kill 2 enemies, you will get 1 point of energy. Each point of energy can recruit an elite skeleton warrior, and you can accumulate up to 20 points of energy consuming 10 mana. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 10 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. Elite of the Skeleton Clan, possessing excellent swordsmanship. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. 2 skeleton swordsmen, 1 LV10 and 1 LV9. The attributes are basically enough to run rampant in the trial map, and he is not far away from challenging the boss of the Cyan Cave Mansion. Life sacrifice. With full thumbs up, you can recruit 38 elite skeleton warriors, which is equivalent to 1 skeleton swordsman and more, better than nothing. Lin Shu looked at life sacrifice. The energy limit of this skill increases with the level. It also increases with the improvement of the grade, and now the energy that can be accumulated is quite considerable. Use it immediately after the energy is full. Lin Shu issued the order, and then he arranged for Skeleton Knight to serve as the second line of defense to guard the door. Then he tightened his clothes and lay down to sleep. After fighting continuously for 15 or 16 hours, even though the conditions were difficult while lying on the ground. But Lin Shu slept particularly soundly, and the occasional fighting at the door of Cave Mansion did not wake him up. I slept straight away until dawn, and when I opened my eyes again, the blood moon has disappeared, and the sky has returned to its gray appearance. The desolate land was once again filled with the smell of decay, and occasionally there were some undead wandering around aimlessly. Lin Shu got up from the ground, feeling a pain from the burning of a stone under her waist. I couldn't help but curse secretly in my heart. I actually slept so well this time. I don't even know the cave mansion has disappeared. If you encounter any danger, you may not know how you died. But when he glanced around, he was stunned. He saw densely packed elite skeleton warriors surrounding him, and 2 skeleton swordsmen still standing loyally on his left and right. The skeleton knight is closely guarding him, surrounded by densely packed elite skeleton warriors. How many monsters did you kill this night? It took Lin Shu a while to realize what was going on, and he looked at a large number of elite skeleton warriors with dumbfounded eyes. I almost doubted that I slept until the 3rd day. 358 elite skeleton warriors. Lin Shu counted carefully and suddenly felt ecstatic. The whole night was indeed not in vain. The harvest is gratifying. It's equivalent to killing more than 700 monsters to collect more than 300 elite skeleton warriors. This can already synthesize 3 powerful skeleton swordsmen, and there are more. If these 2 skeleton swordsmen are also combined, there will be exactly 4 powerful skeleton warriors with strong rank 3. Skeleton Knight LV1 right pointing arrow LV15. Lin Shu looked at the message prompt bar, and the first message that caught his eye made him tremble. Rank 4 Skeleton Knight has eaten up all the experience. Directly promoted to level 15. The Cyan Cave Mansion is stable. Maybe we can directly attack the Blue Cave Mansion tonight. Lin Shu was overjoyed and even regretted that she shouldn't have slept. I missed such a wonderful process. Skeleton Knight LV15. Weak rank 4. Life, 4050. Mana, 4050. Attack, 2835. Defense, 2025. Skill, critical hit. There is a 20% chance of causing 400% damage to the enemy when attacking. Charge, crash into the enemy at an extremely fast speed, causing it to be stunned for 3 seconds and causing an additional 200% damage. Charge ignores terrain restrictions. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 20 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. The knight who can tame the warhorse as the backbone of the skeleton race. More than 4,000 lives. Lin Shu looked at Skeleton Knight's attribute column and was immediately delighted. The Cyan Cave Mansion Guardian Beast is generally about rank 3's strength of around level 20. With 3,600 lives left, Skeleton Knight already has crushing strength. This is just a level gain. The bigger gain is the improvement of the Lord's strength from Cave Mansion. Benefits. Life plus 4-4, Mana plus 4-4, Command plus 4. Green Cave Mansion adds 4 points of life and mana every hour. Each time the Cave Mansion appears, it lasts for 12 hours, but he arrived a little late. He only gained 11 hours of benefits, but his own strength was still greatly improved. ID, Lin Shu. Apprentice Lord. Undead Lord. Power, 128. Native Arms. Undead Summoning expend a certain amount of mana to recruit corresponding undead arms of all types from the bones. Initial skill. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment consumes 5 mana points to recruit 2 skeleton warriors from a corpse. Command, 14. Life, 64. Mana, 64. Unit types. Skeleton Knight LV15, Skeleton Swordsman LV10, Skeleton Swordsman LV9, Elite Skeleton Warrior Elf 1*358 Summon. Talent. 2-in-1 SSS level, can combine any same arms, 2 can be combined into 1 higher level of the same arms. If you do it again tonight, your attributes will exceed 100. And you will be promoted to Bronze Lord. Lin Shu was secretly happy and couldn't help but murmured to herself. As a lord, you generally don't have to fight in person. Going out to fight depends on the quantity and quality of the troops under his command, but this does not mean that the lord does not need to improve himself. After all, the real goal of becoming a lord is to finally complete your path to the gods with the help of military units. The lord's own strength is generally calculated based on life and mana. Before becoming a god, the lord himself has no offensive and defensive attributes. Theoretically speaking, the thicker the blood and the mana, the stronger the strength. Many high-level recruitment techniques not only consume a large amount of mana, but also have extremely high requirements on the realm level of the lord himself. According to the level classification, those below 100 red and blue can only be regarded as trainee lords. This is also the most important indicator in the trial land to assess whether a lord has passed. At the end of the trial, if the blood and blue exceed 100, it means passing the trial. After going out, you can get resource rewards given by the country, and then you can step into the starry sky battlefield. Move towards the goal of becoming a god. If you can't break 100, it means you failed the trial. Even if you are lucky enough to return to Blue Star alive. I can only stop here and become an ordinary person from now on. Stay down to earth on Blue Star to provide logistical services to the Lord of Human Race. Normally, unless a lord is unlucky and gets a high-level unit at the beginning. Otherwise, it will take at least 4 to 5 days to reach this level and become a bronze lord. He had just spent a day and had already completed most of it. Now that we have the power to seize the Blue Cave Mansion, we only need to wait until night falls again. You can directly become a bronze lord tomorrow. Go on, come on. Lin Shu is very motivated, and his talent is destined to be a snowballing development model. The further you go to the late stage, the faster you will develop. I took a look at the rankings. It can be seen that Yi Tian, who is number 1, is also working hard. As the only starter of rank 7 arms. Those Blue Cave Mansions are simply his own back garden. He can completely upgrade them by using the mode of replacing cave mansions to attract monster attacks. Now the title of Purple Cave Mansion is hanging on the ranking list. Number 1 Yi Tian, Purple Cave Mansion 1 hour and 25 minutes. The golden bold font hangs high on the ranking list, as noble as the gods in the sky. Purple Cave Mansion, it's 7 points of life and mana bonus in 1 hour. Lin Shu was envious. His starting point was too high. Throughout the ages, the initial unit rank 4 has been considered extremely high. Rank 5 is so rare that sometimes there is not even one new lord in the entire year. Rank 6 can be called the king of newcomers, and it only takes several years for one to appear. Rank 7, it has only appeared less than 10 times in the rookie stage in history. Such a low probability is naturally enough to illustrate the terror of Yi Tian. Breaking into the Purple Cave Mansion on the first day is enough to prove the power of the rank 7 unit. Each rank needs to be synthesized 3 times, that is to say, if you want to synthesize rank 7 arms, you need at least 512 skeleton knights. Lin Shu did a simple calculation, and suddenly took a breath of cold air and felt his scalp numb. This gap is really exaggerated, so exaggerated that it makes people feel desperate. He wasn't even sure of surpassing Yi Tian during the trial. Rank 7 is not sure. Rank 6 is no problem after all. Lin Shu took a deep breath and put these things out of his mind. Get up and get ready to start the next day's trip. Elite Skeleton Warrior, synthesized. First of all, it was the result of a night of hard work. More than 300 elite skeleton warriors stood quietly beside them. These are brought by skeleton swordsmen's skills and do not occupy the commander position. But carrying hundreds of them is a bit inconvenient, so it's better to just synthesize them. More than 300 elite skeleton warriors were synthesized hundreds of times in total before they were completed. It ended up being 3 powerful skeleton swordsmen. Command strength is 14 points, leaving 4 powerful skeleton swordsmen exclusively for killing enemies to obtain energy, and the rest are used to synthesize high-level units. Lin Shu thought about it and quickly formulated a development plan. Skeleton swordsmen's life sacrifice skills are extremely important at present. It is absolutely impossible to give up, but it is also impossible to stop here. Leaving 4 will be enough for the time being, and there are still 10 commander positions left. It can be used to synthesize high-level troops for the time being. It took Lin Shu half an hour to synthesize, and then he set off with the 5 skeletons. White Jade Skeleton, I'm coming. Lin Shu took a deep breath and glanced at the coordinates to identify the direction. Then he headed in the direction of yesterday's 100-meter giant skeleton. Today, his strength is far greater than yesterday. The once terrifying White Jade Skeleton may not be without hope of victory. The atmosphere at the cemetery of Size on the second day was obviously different from the first day. The density of monsters has increased by at least 10 times. Undead monsters, skeletons or ghosts, and even occasionally some rank 2 rank 3 monsters can appear. Wandering around the desolate land, you can occasionally see freshly baked skeleton warriors crawling out of the ground. It's as if there is a mysterious force that is casting a spell on the entire land to recruit undead. I'm going to explode my skills. Faced with such a scene, Lin Shu was not surprised but overjoyed. The first day of the trial is actually a time for all newcomers to adapt. The real trial begins on the second day. The biggest difference is that starting from the second day, killing monsters will no longer just gain experience, but also have a chance to explode equipment, materials and even skills. But opportunities are always accompanied by dangers. The skyrocketing density of monsters means that the lords will no longer be able to avoid them at will. The battle will inevitably take place on this land. Lin Shu glanced at the map mark in the upper right corner. The number of people on the battlefield on the far left has begun to decrease. The chat channel also heard the lamentations of countless lords, and some unlucky ones even encountered high-level bosses. There was nowhere to escape and he died tragically on the spot. However, trials have always been a hell for the weak and a paradise for the strong. The boss is a demon that urges death to the ordinary lord. But for the strong, it is synonymous with treasure. At this time, Lin Shu stared straight at a tall skeleton walking not far away. Rank 3 boss skeleton cannoneer. Lin Shu looked into the distance with surprise. A skeleton cannoneer was wandering aimlessly not far ahead. There are about a dozen skeleton archers following behind him, obviously a boss. Superior. There is nothing to hesitate about. The boss of rank 3 is very strong against the ordinary lord. But it's not out of reach for him. Charge. Skeleton Knight takes the lead, and instantly knocks Skeleton Cannoneer away across a distance of tens of meters when the charge skill is released. Click. The crisp sound of bone cracking was heard, and the 3 root bone heads of the unlucky Skeleton Cannoneer's chest were broken into several sections. He fell to the ground and tried several times but couldn't get up. Ho ho, ho ho. The battle was about to break out. A group of skeleton archers became furious when they saw their boss being attacked. A weird sound came from the hollow mouth, and the bone bow full of cracks began to bend and release arrows. Dozens of bone arrows were shot out crookedly and hit the skeleton knight. However, the attack of this rank 1 ordinary skeleton archer was obviously pitifully low. Not even Skeleton Knight's defense was broken. Skeleton Knight didn't even look at it, and before Skeleton Cannoneer got up, the spear in his hand pierced its chest hard, and the last few root bone heads in its chest were directly removed. Bah! Poor Skeleton Cannoneer hasn't even shown its strength at all, and its skeleton is almost torn apart. 4 skeleton swordsmen also rushed over quickly under Lin Shu's order, and directly tore apart the Skeleton Cannoneer with 3 strikes of the bone sword in their hands. Ho ho! Rank 3 boss's vitality is extremely strong, and the bones of his entire body are scattered all over the place, but he is still alive. The soul fire in his head was still burning tenaciously, but Lin Shu was not in a hurry. This is the characteristic of undead creatures, but its flaws are also extremely obvious. The skeleton has been torn apart, and no matter how strong you are, you can't use it at all. Kill Skeleton Archer. Lin Shu stood not far away and commanded. The Skeleton Knight's spear continued to dismantle the Skeleton Cannoneer's body. The remaining 4 skeleton swordsmen attacked a group of skeleton archers. Get. Experience 5. Get. Experience 5. Get. Copper coin 1. Opening square bracket ... closing square bracket. After more than a dozen skeleton archers were killed, the Skeleton Cannoneer was completely extinguished by the unremitting efforts of the Skeleton Knight. Soul Fire. The dignified rank 3 boss couldn't even come up with a decent counterattack. Get. Experience 200. Obtain. Soul Fire Fragments 3. Get. Rusty Iron Knife. Obtain. Skeleton Archer Recruitment Technique Skill Book. Boom. Skeleton Cannoneer died completely, and a series of prompts sounded. Lin Shu was pleasantly surprised. Skeleton Archer Recruitment Technique. Shipped. I actually got a new troop type after killing the boss for the first time. Unbelievable luck. Soul Fire Fragments. Use. Collecting 10 can be synthesized into a complete Soul Fire, which can be used to improve the level of skeleton troops. A boss exploded 3 things. First of all, it is a precious material, which is the most critical material for improving the strength of skeleton race troops. Soul Fire is the core of skeleton race. The bigger the skeleton, the stronger it is. But the stronger the Soul Fire is, the stronger the skeleton will be. As long as you gather enough soul fire, you can infinitely improve the strength of skeleton race. The second piece is a piece of equipment. Rusty iron knife. Attack plus 15. Introduction. I don't know where to find weapons from the ground. The rusty weapons may have miraculous effects on flesh and blood creatures. A weapon that contains tetanus poison, but it is actually useless. There is obviously no place for him in the cemetery of size. When he leaves the trial area, this kind of garbage equipment is useless. Finally, there is the skill book. Skeleton Archer Recruitment Technique. After using it, you will learn the Skeleton Archer Recruitment Technique and spend 5 mana to recruit 2 skeleton archers. Tip. Due to material restrictions, the higher the material level, the stronger the skeleton archer you can recruit. Requirements. Undead type exclusively for skeleton type lords. Study. Lin Shu didn't hesitate and used the skill book directly. As an undead lord in the entire series, he may not necessarily be the strongest, but he must be the most comprehensive. Never let go of any undead skill book. Skeleton Archer, Recruiting. Looking at the piles of dead bones scattered on the ground, Lin Shu's heart moved and he directly activated this new skill. The next second the withered bones trembled, and a root bone head was assembled. 2 new units appeared in front of Lin Shu. Get. Powerful Skeleton Shooter 2. The skeleton of rank 3's skeleton cannoneer is indeed not covered. He actually directly recruited 2 strong rank 2 troops. Powerful Skeleton Shooter 1. Strong rank 2. Life. 100. Attack. 70. Defense. 50. Skill. Continuous fire, can fire once every 5 seconds. Buff. Favor of the Netherworld Wraith Emperor, increases damage by 10% when attacking. Introduction. A rare unit in skeleton race with long-range output capabilities, favored by the Netherworld Wraith Emperor. Synthesis. Lin Shu no longer likes the troops with strong rank 2. I chose synthesis directly. Get. Skeleton Cannoneer 1. Skeleton Cannoneer 1. Weak rank 3. Life. 170. Mana. 170. Attack. 110. Defense. 85. Skill. Continuous fire, can fire once every 3 seconds. Buff. Favor of the Netherworld Wraith Emperor, increases damage by 10% when attacking. Introduction. A rare unit in skeleton race with long-range output capabilities, favored by the Netherworld Wraith Emperor. Boss's template. Lin Shu looked happy, he had just killed a boss. In the blink of an eye, I used its bones and my own talent to perfectly restore a skeleton cannoneer. It was so cool. The attributes are not very strong, but the emergence of a long-range unit will undoubtedly improve the strength. It's much more useful than skeleton swordsman. Attack. Lin Shu gave the attack order, and skeleton cannoneer bent his bow and drew an arrow. Call out. The arrow was shot directly, and its range was much farther than the skeleton archer's range. The arrow finally stopped twisting and flew directly dozens of meters away and sank into the ground. The attack range is about 50 meters, not bad. Lin Shu was quite pleased. The distance was not too far, but it was not close either. As its level increases, the range will gradually increase. Set off. Lin Shu organized his troops and set out again. All experience from killing monsters along the way will still be given to Skeleton Knight, and all the dead bones transformed from the killed undead monsters will be recruited into Skeleton Archer. The life energy gained from killing skeleton swordsman recruits elite skeleton warrior. After a night of cave mansion gains, his mana reached 64 points. You can use the skeleton archer recruitment spell 12 times in a row before all the mana is used up. The movement speed brought by the increase in strength has also increased significantly, but the increase in monster density has made battles more frequent. The actual speed is not much faster than last night. After half an hour, the 100-meter giant bone appeared in his sight. At this time, Lin Shu's strength also improved significantly again. 1 weak rank 4 skeleton knight, 8 strong rank 3 powerful skeleton swordsman, 2 strong rank 3 powerful skeleton cannoneer. Skeleton cannoneer, synthesis. Looking at the 100-meter giant bone from a distance, Lin Shu stopped. The harvest along the way is amazing, and the efficiency is far higher than yesterday. But he was not satisfied to stop there. The white jade skeleton was no small matter. You must raise your condition to the peak before you can challenge it. Otherwise, if you are not careful, all the gains you have made after a day and a half of hard work may be revealed here. Obtain. Ghost Fire Shooter 1. Ghost Fire Shooter 1. Weak rank 4. Life, 270. Mana, 270. Attack, 195. Defense, 130. Skill, Flame Arrow consumes 10 mana points to make the arrows carry fire damage, causing an additional 60 points of damage to the enemy, no CD. Buff. Favor of the Netherworld Wraith Emperor causes an additional 15% damage to the enemy when attacking. Introduction. A special being who masters the power of Soul Fire, an elite of the Skeleton Clan. It actually caused attribute damage. Each of rank 4's arms is extremely powerful. Ghost Fire Shooter's attributes are no better than those of Skeleton Knight, and its output far exceeds that of Skeleton Knight. It has a big advantage. The weak rank 4 Ghost Fire Shooter has a range of more than 200 meters. If there were more, a concentrated fire damage might even challenge the Blue Cave Mansion tonight. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman, Synthesis. Since the long-range arms have been combined, Skeleton Swordsmen cannot be spared. 4 Skeleton Swordsmen are left specifically for killing monsters to obtain life energy, and the remaining 4 are enough to synthesize a rank 4 Skeleton Knight. Get. Skeleton Knight 2. Go on, synthesize. Get. Elite Skeleton Knight 2. Elite Skeleton Knight LV1. Rank 4. Life, 285. Mana, 285. Attack, 200. Defense, 150. Skill, Charge. Skeleton Knight's attributes haven't changed much, and his skill is still Charge. However, the basic attributes have been slightly improved. A Skeleton Knight, an Elite Skeleton Knight, and a Ghost Fire Shooter. 3 rank 4 units. Lin Shu has high morale and every step of his progress can be clearly seen. Yesterday, it only stayed at over 100 on the ranking list, but today, with his strength, he would probably be in the top 50 without any pressure. If we can produce a few units with strong rank 4 before tonight, it is not impossible to be in the top 20. It's not impossible to lay down a 100-meter giant bone and create a rank 5 unit. Lin Shu looked at the 100-meter giant bone in the distance and muttered to himself, but soon he felt that something was wrong. This giant bone. Why does it seem to have gotten bigger? Lin Shu opened her eyes wide and looked into the distance in confusion. Yesterday I walked nearby to see the 100-meter giant bone. The part exposed above the ground was less than 10 meters high. But now it looks like it's a lot bigger. Lin Shu thought he was dazzled, so he quickly approached with 7 skeletons to take a closer look. He finally confirmed his guess and was not dazzled. The giant bones seemed to be pushed out of the ground by a mysterious force, and the ones exposed above the ground were nearly 20 meters large. Hiss. Lin Shu took a breath, and the huge white bones lay quietly on the ground. It's like a skyscraper that's 20 meters high, and it looks extremely ferocious. Click, click, coming closer again, Lin Shu's pupils shrank. There were sounds of bones colliding and breaking. In the middle of these hundreds of meters of giant bones, dozens of undead monsters are fighting silently at this moment. The white jade skeleton was still so conspicuous, and a white jade-like knife in his hand neatly cut open the thigh bone of the other skeleton. The sound of broken bones was heard in the small space, but then it was violently knocked out by another undead knight. A white bone on his left arm instantly shattered and broke. Kaka. The hollow bones of the white jade skull collided up and down, making a clicking sound, as if they were grinning. Then it skillfully wielded the white jade knife to cut off a section of the giant bone next to it. He casually installed it on his left arm, and then blocked the bone spear coming from behind as if nothing happened. What's the situation? Lin Shu looked at this scene in astonishment. More than a dozen undead monsters were fighting fiercely under the bones. But if you look closely, there are actually more than a dozen besieging the white jade skeleton. The white jade skull deserves its unique appearance and is extremely brave. The small body moved nimbly under the bones, and the white jade knife in his hand did not look like an ordinary thing. No matter how hard the bones of other enemies look, they are like paper under its knife. It was cut off easily. And although its defense doesn't seem to be too strong, with the help of the white jade knife, it can easily cut through the giant bones. Replace injured bones anytime. With such cheating skills, even if he is besieged by more than a dozen powerful monsters, he still won't lose. It can even counterattack from time to time. The monster hit by the white jade knife will be defeated in an instant. I tried to cut off the giant bone like it and replace it, but this giant bone looked like paper. It's as hard as iron in their hands, and they can't break it even with all their strength. Lin Shu was shocked by the strength and fighting skills displayed by a group of monsters. The strength of this white jade skeleton is by no means as simple as he thought before. At least rank 5, or even rank 6 or above. Lin Shu was very happy in her heart. Fortunately, she came late and saw this scene. Otherwise, I am afraid that all my belongings will be lost here. Kaka. Just when Lin Shu was thinking about what to do, the white jade skeleton rolled in the battlefield. In an instant, he kicked away a skeleton that was planning to attack it. The unlucky guy fell apart while it was still in the air. A root bone head flew out from the gap between the giant bones, and the head rolled on the ground like a rolling gourd. Lin Shu looked at the skull that landed at his feet, with the fist-sized soul fire inside. Lost in thought. Ho ho. Quote. The fist-sized soul fire made Lin Shu feel frightened. They were too far apart before, and they moved so quickly in combat that I couldn't see them clearly. I actually thought they were just rank 4 troops. Nah, this is at least a rank 5. No, a rank 6 strongman. Cold sweat broke out on Lin Shu's forehead, and she was even more grateful in her heart. Looking down at the skull at his feet and a pile of thick white bones scattered nearby. Sen Lang's white bones look thick and have a texture that far exceeds that of Skeleton Knight. At first glance, it is not ordinary. Soul fire flashes, and a fierce force rushes towards you. Snort. Lin Shu groaned, and his eyes went dark as if he had entered a Shira field. The endless killing aura washed over him, making him feel sick and uncomfortable. Cut it. It took a few seconds for Lin Shu to wake up. Looking at the skull on the ground, he suddenly became furious. This is the ability Undead race possesses when it becomes powerful enough to directly impact the enemy's soul. If the gap in strength between the two sides is too great, they may be shocked into an idiot and lose their mind. Or worse, his soul will be shattered and he will die. This is why he has made great progress in strength after a night of baptism in the Green Cave Mansion yesterday. Otherwise, if it were me yesterday, I might just have to explain it here. Click. Skeleton Knight and Skeleton Swordsman are his loyal guards. They rushed forward immediately after hearing the order. The bone sword and bone spear in his hand stabbed him hard. Woohoo! The soul fire in the skull flashed crazily, revealing a hint of panic. However, no matter how powerful it is, there is nothing you can do if there is only one head left. Half a minute later, the soul fire in the ravaged skull was finally completely extinguished. Acquire 500 experience. Obtain Pure Soul Fire 2. Get Death Knight Crystal Core. Obtain Skill Upgrade Scroll 1. It's really a rank 5 undead. The soul fire went out, and a pleasant sound sounded. Lin Shu was secretly shocked. This guy was indeed a rank 5 undead. The loot that exploded was worthy of its strength. First of all, the materials. Just 2 servings of pure soul fire. Materials are divided into damaged, ordinary, pure, high quality, supreme grade, perfect, etc. The higher the high-level material, the higher the value. The bones that can be seen everywhere are the bones that belong to damaged. The recruited skeleton warriors are all scumbags. If they want to survive in this trial place, at least you have to find some ordinary bones so you can recruit a strong skeleton warrior. And soul fire, the soul fire fragment obtained by killing skeleton cannoneer before. It takes 10 copies to synthesize 1 copy of ordinary soul fire, but now after just killing 1 boss, 2 copies of pure soul fire are revealed. Death Knight, Hero Crystal, could it be? Lin Shu took out the second trophy and was shocked when he saw the name. I opened the attribute introduction in disbelief. Death Knight Hero Crystal. Used by any undead knight type unit with rank 4 or above, it can be transformed into a hero Death Knight. Tip. The higher the grade of the transferred soldier, the higher the grade of the converted Death Knight. He is really a hero. Lin Shu's eyes lit up and she suddenly took a breath of cold air. A hero is an elite among the military units. A strong man whose strength exceeds the limits of his military type and possesses a certain level of intelligence. It can lead troops to fight and is a must-have for late-stage multi-line monster spawning and exploration. This thing can be said to be a must-have for the strong and something that everyone wants. Unfortunately, the explosion rate is extremely low, and the sources and forms of heroes of each race are also different. I didn't expect that I would get one now. Rank 4 can be used, just right. Lin Shu was very excited. Hero, this is a good thing. For others, the more late stage is used, the better, but he has unlimited synthesis. There is no need to consider potential issues at all. Moreover, another advantage of switching heroes is that your level and experience will not be lost. It doesn't need to be the same as it is now. After upgrading Skeleton Knight, I can't bear to synthesize it. Because once synthesized, its level will be reset to 0. Skeleton Knight, change class. Lin Shu did not hesitate and directly used the job transfer on the LV-16 Skeleton Knight. Get. Skeleton Knight Death Knight LV-16. Skeleton Knight Death Knight LV-16. 4-star hero. Life, 4,320. Mana, 4,320. Attack, 3,400. Defense, 2,600. Skill, critical hit. There is a 25% chance of causing 400% damage to the enemy when attacking. Charge, crash into the enemy at an extremely fast speed, causing it to be stunned for 3 seconds and causing an additional 200% damage. Charge ignores terrain restrictions. Aphotic shield, adds a shield to the target, which breaks after 10 seconds or after absorbing damage equal to health points and transfers the absorbed damage to all nearby enemies. Buff, Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 50 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. The hero in Skeleton Knight has endless potential. 4-star hero, you are indeed worthy of being a hero. Lin Shu looked at Death Knight's attributes and was very excited. There is no improvement in the red and blue attributes. It may be because the level is too low. There is only a slight improvement in attack and defense, but this does not mean that the combat power is the same as Skeleton Knight. Just a lightless shield shows how powerful the hero is. It's incredible. A shield that can absorb damage equivalent to health points, which is equivalent to doubling your life. After the shield is broken, the damage can be transferred to nearby enemies, a full-level anti-armor. This skill alone is enough to more than double Skeleton Knight's strength. Recruit another Skeleton Knight to combine with it, and then combine it with the elite Skeleton Knight, a powerful Skeleton Knight that can break through to a strong rank 4. Lin Shu thought about it secretly and took another look before reluctant to close the hero's attribute bar. Pulled out the last piece of loot. Skill upgrade scroll. After use, you can specify any skill level to be upgraded by 1 level. Simple and crude, but still priceless. All I can say is that he is worthy of being called rank 5 boss, he is so generous and scary. Upgrade. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment Technique. Lin Shu pondered slightly. Originally, he had planned to upgrade Skeleton Archer. After all, the advantages of long-range arms are needless to say in the early stage, but now that Death Knight is available, then improving the hero's strength must be ranked first. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment LV2. Spend 5 mana to recruit 4 skeleton warriors from a corpse. The second level recruitment technique can directly recruit 4 skeleton warriors at one time. Equivalent to an elite skeleton warrior, the efficiency is doubled instantly. Skeleton Warrior, recruiting. After cleaning up the trophies, Lin Shu looked at the dead bones scattered at his feet. This is the body of the unlucky man. Order Skeleton Swordsman to pick up these bones. Lin Shu directly used the upgraded skills. Get. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman 4. Seeing the 4 powerful Skeleton Swordsmen freshly baked, Lin Shu's eyes almost popped out. The quality of rank 5's undead corpses is truly incredible. He actually directly recruited rank 3 skeletons. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman, synthesized. As the saying goes, when I feel sleepy and encounter a pillow, I am thinking of recruiting some more skeleton warriors to synthesize a Skeleton Knight as soon as possible. I wanted to synthesize the Death Knight into a strong rank 4, but I didn't expect it to be here now. Get. Skeleton Knight 2. Synthesis, Death Knight. Lin Shu took a deep breath and put the Death Knight and a Skeleton Knight into the synthesis column. Get. Death Knight Elite Skeleton Knight LV-16. Go on, synthesize. Get. Death Knight Powerful Skeleton Knight LV-16. After several consecutive synthesis, the hero Death Knight was finally synthesized to a strong rank 4. I got a strong rank 4 hero and a weak rank 4 skeleton knight. Powerful skeleton knight Death Knight LV16. 4-star hero. Life, 4,800. Mana, 4,800. Attack, 4,000. Defense, 3,000. Skill, critical hit. There is a 25% chance of causing 400% damage to the enemy when attacking. Charge, crash into the enemy at an extremely fast speed, causing it to be stunned for 3 seconds and causing an additional 300% damage. Charge ignores terrain restrictions. Aphotic shield. Adds a shield to the target, which breaks after 10 seconds or after absorbing damage equal to health points and transfers the absorbed damage to all nearby enemies. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 50 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. The hero in Skeleton Knight has endless potential. The Skeleton Knight with strong rank 4 is still a 4-star hero after being transformed into a hero. The health and mana attributes have been improved to a certain extent, which is the same as the strong rank 4 troops. But attack and defense have obviously broken the boundaries between arms and have been greatly improved. The other skills haven't changed much, but their combat power is definitely enough to beat 2 or more units of the same level. This is a big treasure. After sorting out the harvest, Lin Shu looked at the giant bones not far away with bright eyes. The battle between bosses is still going on fiercely. The white jade skeleton is brave beyond imagination. But the other bosses are not made of clay either. You come and I beat each other until the bones and scum are flying everywhere. Lin Shu looked ahead eagerly, hoping that the white jade skeleton would rise again and kick a boss away. Unfortunately, this kind of luck can only come by chance. Seeing that there were no opportunities, Lin Shu rolled his eyes and planned to create opportunities by himself if there were no opportunities. Hiding in the distance, he directed the remaining skeleton knight to rotate around the giant bone to find a suitable position. After waiting for 10 minutes, Lin Shu finally got an opportunity. A skeleton with black bones and a giant sword in its hand slashed towards the white jade skeleton. The white jade bone knife's combat awareness was astonishing. He ducked sideways and then struck the white jade bone knife in his hand. Directly break the right leg of the giant sword skeleton. The right leg was severed, and the giant sword skeleton staggered as its center of gravity became unstable. Now, charge. Lin Shu's heart skipped a beat and she quickly ordered. Skeleton Knight, who had been waiting for a long time, instantly activated his skills and hit the giant sword skeleton directly. The figure kept carrying the giant sword and skeleton directly through the white giant bones to Lin Shu's side, and threw the giant sword and skeleton heavily to the ground. Boom! The huge impact caused the giant sword skeleton to fly out violently, and was smashed to pieces. Go on, tear its bones apart. Lin Shu gave an order, and Death Knight took the lead in attacking. He cut off the right arm of the giant sword skeleton with one strike, and then with gleaming eyes, he took away its giant sword and replaced it with his own. Lin Shu looked at this hero's performance in surprise. This kind of autonomy can only be said to be worthy of being a hero. This was not the case with the previous arms. Kaka. Click. Skeleton Knight was not far behind. He thrust the spear in his hand into the chest of the giant sword skeleton and stirred it desperately. However, its attack power at level 1 is really limited, and even after working for a long time, it produced no results. Instead, the 4 skeleton swordsmen slowly removed its other leg. The giant sword skeleton, which had been smashed to pieces, finally woke up. Looking at the scene in front of him, he became furious. The teeth moved up and down crazily, making a clicking sound. The scolding was quite dirty. Lin Shu had the same experience as last time. This time he hid far away to avoid being hit again. The giant sword skeleton is the boss with the lowest rank 5, and its strength is astonishing. However, one leg was cut off by the white jade skeleton and is still under the giant bone. The right arm holding the sword was cut off by Death Knight again. At this moment, he is completely like a tiger with his teeth pulled out. Although his defense power is still astonishing. But there is no big threat anymore. After the Death Knight joined the battlefield, the soul fire was completely extinguished and died soon after. Acquire 500 experience. Obtain. Pure Soul Fire 3. Obtain. Imitation Frostmourne. Obtain. Skill Upgrade Scroll. Stealing the chicken went very smoothly. Lin Shu felt happy when he heard the sweet loot notification sound. Killing the high-level boss by leapfrogging, the explosion rate is really amazing. Pure Soul Fire is still 3, and with the previous 2, there are already 5. The emergence of the skill upgrade scroll will increase Lin Shu's strength improvement efficiency again. Finally, there is the equipment with extremely low explosion rate, which is the giant sword that Death Knight forcibly captured. Copycat Frostmourne. Equipment requirements. Rank 4 Hero. Blue. Attack. 1200. Frostmourne. Each attack can reduce the enemy's attack speed and movement speed by 1%, while increasing its own attack speed and movement speed. The effect can be stacked up to 10 times. Introduction. Created by Unknown Blacksmith, a replica of the famous Frostmourne. Blue equipment. Lin Shu was overjoyed. No wonder Death Knight was so excited. This is actually a blue piece of equipment. The attributes are not useless, directly increasing the attack by more than 1,000. Let Death Knight's attack directly increase to higher than life. This means that facing an existence of the same level, it may only need 2 swords to kill it instantly. There is also an additional attribute, which is needless to say powerful. Reduce the enemy's double speed and increase your own double speed. Once the enemy is entangled, he basically loses the possibility of escaping. Not bad. Lin Shu looked at the giant sword with satisfaction. It didn't look very good, but its attributes were not outstanding. Throwing the giant sword to Death Knight, the hero's soul fire jumped visibly. Describes its joy. Upgrade. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment Technique. A skill upgrade scroll. Lin Shu did not hesitate. Still clicked on the Skeleton Warrior Recruitment skill, and after getting the Death Knight, there is no need to rush to upgrade the archers. Prioritize upgrading the heroes to high level. Skeleton Warrior Recruitment LV3. Spend 5 mana to recruit 6 Skeleton Warriors from a corpse. Skeleton Warrior. Recruiting. The giant sword skeleton once again brought withered bones everywhere. This is the terrifying thing about the Undead Lord. Although the emergence of leadership has greatly weakened the potential of the Undead Lords, fighting to support war is still their strongest selling point. Get. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman 6. The 3rd level Skeleton Warrior recruitment technique can directly recruit 6 Skeleton Warriors at one time. But now Lin Shu faces another problem, that is, his commanding power is a bit insufficient. He now has a 4-star hero with full attributes and a weak rank 4 Skeleton Knight. 4 monster spawning powerful Skeleton Swordsman, 1 weak rank 4 Ghost Fire Shooter. 7 spots have been taken up, and only 7 points of command power are left. The recruitment technique can recruit 6 types of troops at once, it's almost full. Then if someone randomly appears during recruitment who cannot be synthesized, his commanding power will completely overflow. Now, 6 more powerful Skeleton Warriors have been recruited at once. In an instant, there are as many as 13 types of troops. Only 1 spot left. 10 powerful Skeleton Swordsmen, just leave 2 to spawn monsters. After pondering slightly, Lin Shu had no choice but to give up her love. Directly synthesize all the remaining 8, and finally get a powerful Skeleton Knight. Death Knight. Synthesis. Lin Shu looked at Death Knight excitedly and couldn't help rubbing his hands. Just throw the newly released powerful Skeleton Knight into the secondary synthesis column. Get. Skeleton Warlord Death Knight LV16. Skeleton Warlord Death Knight LV16. 5-star heroes. Life. 6,400. Mana. 6,400. Attack. 5,100 plus 1,200. Defense. 4,500. Damage reduction plus 9%. Skill. Critical hit. There is a 25% chance of causing 500% damage to the enemy when attacking. Charge. Crash into the enemy at an extremely fast speed, causing it to be stunned for 3 seconds and causing an additional 300% damage. Charge ignores terrain restrictions. Aphotic Shield. Adds a shield to the target, absorbs 1.5 times the damage of health points, then breaks into pieces and transfers the absorbed damage to all nearby enemies. Death Entanglement. Consume a certain amount of one's own life, cause double damage to the enemy or restore double life to teammates. Buff. Netherworld Wraith Emperor's Blessing recovers 100 points of life per second in non-combat state, and the effect is halved in combat state. Introduction. The heroes in Skeleton Warlord have unlimited potential. The 5-star Death Knight's life and mana have skyrocketed to more than 6,000. Attack is almost the same as life. There is also one more skill, a skill that stacks damage and recovery. However, Lin Shu was slightly surprised that in addition to the basic attributes, there is one more entry. 9% damage reduction. Lin Shu was a little surprised. Although the hero has extraordinary combat power, but it is more reflected in IQ and skills, and entries with more attribute columns. It seems like you have never heard of this. Maybe it's the special nature of heroes. Lin Shu didn't think much about it. After all, heroes are not accessible to ordinary people. It's normal to have unknown peculiarities. The protection of the aphotic shield has been increased from the equivalent life to 1.5 times, and its strength is comparable to that of rank 6 soldiers. Lin Shu closed the Death Knight's attribute bar with satisfaction. Today's harvest was beyond imagination. This morning is not over yet, and a rank 5 hero has been synthesized. Combat power is comparable to rank 6 units. I'm afraid only Yi Tian can fight with him in the entire desolate land. Go on, try to do it a few more times. Lin Shu looked at the giant white bone not far away with gleaming eyes, a greedy look in his eyes. This place is a unique treasure to him. Stealing chickens twice in a row brought more harvest than yesterday. Command the only remaining skeleton knight to step forward and quietly wait for the fighter plane. Perhaps Lin Shu helped it kill 2 enemies in a row, and the situation of the white jade skeleton became much better. The remaining 12 bosses could no longer suppress it. The white jade skeleton retreated while fighting and finally faced off against the other bosses by leaning on a thick giant bone. Kakaka, kakaka. The mouthparts of each skeleton opened and closed crazily, making strange sounds. Lin Shu looked strange. This scene had a sense of déjà vu as the two sides were squirting at each other before the battle. Do you understand what they are saying? Lin Shu turned to look at the Death Knight next to him and asked curiously. Kakaka, quote. Well, Lin Shu gave up on learning a foreign language. It seems that the group of bosses in the battlefield also felt troublesome, and they were not in a hurry to take action when they faced off against the white jade skeleton. However, a skeletal beast-like boss quietly took a few steps back, opened his sharp teeth and bit into a giant bone next to him. Kaka. The white jade skeleton was furious when it saw this scene. These giant bones seemed to be regarded as forbidden by it. Ignoring the obstruction of other bosses, he passed the white jade bone knife in his hand and attacked the enemy directly. Bang, 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 bang. A group of bosses fought together again. Lin Shu looked at the skeleton beast in surprise. It did not participate in the battle, but desperately bit the giant white bone. Even if it turns into a skeleton, its sharp teeth will not be affected. With its unremitting efforts, finally broke a huge bone. Kakaka. The skull beast's mouth kept opening and closing, as if it was laughing wildly. It laughed, broke a rib on its chest, threw it away, and then installed the bone on its chest. Buzz. The next second, a change happened that surprised Lin Shu. I saw a flash of milky white smoothness, and the jagged white bones instantly became as round as jade. It blends perfectly with its body. That white bone instantly became as flawless as white jade. If you look closely, you will see that the bones on the white jade skeleton are exactly the same. After the completion of the skeleton beast, the aura is obviously stronger. Could it be that the origin of these bones is not as simple as I thought? These bosses are gathered here just to compete for this big bone. Lin Shu's pupils shrank and couldn't help but mutter to himself. Looking at the white jade skeleton on the battlefield, it was obvious that he was furious. It's as if his forbidden space is occupied by someone else, but in that crazily flashing soul fire. Lin Shu clearly saw a trace of panic and fear. Sure enough, the skeleton beast that had completed its evolution roared and jumped up. He bit hard at the white jade skeleton. The white jade skeleton was forced to fight, and the white jade bone knife slashed hard in his hand. However, this time, the white jade bone knife scratched the skull beast's chest, but it was not completely cut off like before. Kakaka. The skeleton beast's front claws fiercely scratched the left arm of the white jade skeleton, leaving only a few scratches. But the huge impact still made the white jade skeleton fall back again and again. The morale of the other bosses was greatly boosted upon seeing this. 10 bosses swarmed around the skeleton beast and attacked crazily. The other 2 bosses retreated and followed the same example, starting to pick a suitable bone and start tearing it apart with all their strength. No. The white jade skeleton is going to be finished. Lin Shu's face changed slightly and she couldn't help but become anxious. Only if the 2 sides are evenly matched can he benefit. If the white jade skull loses, it's impossible for him to get a bargain. Rank 5 boss, Death Knight, enter. Gritting his teeth, Lin Shu unleashed his strongest combat power. A 5-star hero has a template that is no weaker than rank 5 boss. The boss of rank 5 is invincible to the previous Lin Shu. But now, he has a 5-star hero. Even if the level is not high, it is not without the power to fight. Of course, you can't just rush in and challenge the boss. He still adopts the old method and plans to find opportunities to steal a few more bosses. Balance the combat power of both sides. The strength of the white jade skeleton is not an exaggeration. Lin Shu guessed that this guy must have found this place first. He replaced himself with bones while no one was fighting for them. His strength is extremely abnormal. However, judging from the appearance, it is probably just the lowest level skeleton warrior template. Even if he changed his bones, it would be difficult to defeat so many bosses alone. At this moment, it was besieged by a group of bosses, and it quickly made the most advantageous choice. Move flexibly among the bosses and try to avoid the skeleton beasts that have had their bones replaced. Other bosses have no ability to resist the power of white jade bone knife in its hands. If you get hit, you'll get a broken bone and serious injury. Now, charge. Lin Shu saw the opportunity and quickly issued the order. Death Knight charged out and brought out a boss whose right arm was cut off. Kakaka. There was too much movement this time, perhaps because the Death Knight was powerful enough to threaten them. The group of bosses suddenly became furious, and several weapons were thrown at the Death Knight. Aphelis shield. Death Knight kept charging and put a shield on himself. Holding the shield, he led the boss directly out of the giant bone range. Kill. Lin Shu had no time to take into account the reactions of the bosses and gave the order decisively. Death Knight rushed the boss and threw it to the ground. The moment he stopped, he raised his knife and cut off the boss's right leg. Several skeleton swordsmen and skeleton knights swarmed up and messed up his chest. The Death Knight drew his knife and inserted it into the boss's head again, inserting it into the soul fire and stirring it fiercely. Acquire 500 experience. Obtain Pure Soul Fire 3. Obtain Skill Book Necromancer Recruitment Technique. Obtain Book of Command 1. The results of the improvement in strength are visible to the naked eye. Killing the boss is so smooth. The boss that used to take several minutes to kill now doesn't even last 3 seconds. The soul fire was immediately extinguished and turned into withered bones all over the ground. The Necromancer Recruitment Technique. In a command book. Listening to the harvest of spoils, Lin Shu was overjoyed. Needless to say, the value of skill books. The power of multi-arms cooperation is far from as simple as 1 + 1 = 2. As long as they are not poor single-army lords, the more demand for skill books the better. And Necromancer is a special type of soldier that can recruit skeleton race. Also known as the Little Lord, he is an essential unit for the undead type that can truly take the natural disaster route. The value far exceeds other military recruitment techniques. Of course, the value of this skill book lies in its circulation among low-level lords. The Book of Command is the true treasure that all lords need. No one can have too many treasures that can permanently increase command power. The demand for treasures has no upper limit. In the Starry Sky battlefield, it is said that a leadership book can be sold for a sky-high price of 10,000 gold coins. And this is often priceless. Necromancer Recruitment Technique. After using it, you can learn the Necromancer Recruitment Technique. Use it on a corpse whose body is still intact to recruit a necromancer. Command Book. After use, it can permanently increase the command power by 2 points. Use. Lin Shu didn't hesitate and used it all directly. The command power directly increased to 16 points. The power of leadership is extremely precious, that is, in the place of trial. With the magical cave mansion, this is actually a screening for powerful lords. Strong ones can own a higher level cave mansion and gain more command power. After the trial is over, it can only be increased by breaking through the level and using the command book. From the outside, one cannot tell how powerful a lord is. Even from the level of the lord, one cannot judge how powerful the lord is. But from the command ability, you can definitely judge whether a lord is a strong man. Because only the strong can have higher commanding power in the place of trial. Only the strong will be willing to spend a lot of resources to acquire and use unlimited commanding power. Strength often corresponds to financial resources. The weak need to use their limited economy on arms and equipment to more effectively improve their combat power. After cleaning the battlefield, Lin Shu looked under the giant bone again. Suddenly, an existence that could threaten them appeared. Obviously, these bosses finally felt the danger. When besieging the white jade skeleton, it was inevitable that they would be at a loss. The situation of the white jade skeleton was greatly relieved. However, as the second skeleton replaced itself with white jade bones, the boss army's strength has obviously been improved again. They are no longer eager to attack the white jade skeleton, and have adopted the form of surrounding but not attacking. Change out the third boss and dig up the white jade bones. These bosses, are their controllers behind them? Lin Shu looked at the orderly boss army and couldn't help but muttered. Their behavior is really abnormal. Normally, if you find any treasure in the wild, even human lords will definitely swarm in to kill people and seize treasures, let alone bosses. They never have any idea of unity and will only fight desperately for treasures for their own benefit. And these bosses can actually have such a clear division of labor. Most of them besiege the white jade skeletons, leaving one to collect white jade bones to increase their strength. Then switching to another boss is really abnormal. That's not right. If someone controls me, they can't just let me go. Lin Shu frowned slightly and found nothing after analyzing everything. After all, he is just a trainee lord, although he has learned a lot about monsters in more than 10 years. But we still only scratch the surface of the huge myriad races. Now that the situation is special, he can only try to be more vigilant. Always pay attention to the movements around you and be prepared to escape. Recruit Skeleton Warrior. The enemies of the undead race, souls turned into experiences. Bones are never wasted. The higher the level of bones, the stronger the troops recruited. Get. Powerful Skeleton Swordsman 6. Trembling, 6 powerful skeleton swordsmen crawled out from the ground. The number of troops with strong rank 3 and full attributes has become 8 again. Synthesis, Elite Skeleton Knight. Lin Shu pondered slightly, but still suppressed the urge to synthesize everything. Even though he has a good income today, he also knows that this kind of opportunity is rare. In the future, Skeleton Swordsman's life sacrifice skill will still be the key to synthesizing skeletons. There are 6 powerful skeleton swordsmen. After combining 4, Lin Shu's troops are left with 6. Death Knight of rank 5, Elite Skeleton Knight of rank 4 and an ordinary Skeleton Knight. 2 powerful skeleton swordsmen and a rank 4 Ghost Fire Shooter. Go on, come again. After digesting all the gains, Lin Shu once again set his sights on the battlefield. There are only 11 boss legions left. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.